Well, hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We did it. We made it through another week. Welcome to Happy Hour. Happy Hour is a time when we come together and we watch a woke training and or webinar and or something related. We watch it in its full form from start to finish, and we talk about it and we make fun of it and we maybe even have a beverage or two. And I got to tell you, I have got an epic beer selection for today. In fact, there were so many good beers at the beer store today that I instead of buying my usual 4, I had to buy 8. Now don't worry, I'm only giving you guys 4 to decide from because tomorrow we have Socialism Saturday. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. And so I need beer for Socialism Saturday as well. I can't sit through like straight socialism without beer. Yes, bot, you do get to vote. You always the rule for happy hour is that you do get to vote on which beer I start with, but we're going to get to that in a second as people kind of make their way into the stream. But guys, happy hour is when we watch a full training and we talk about it because you need to know what your enemy is saying. You need to know what your enemy is doing and in order to best defeat them. So this is our way to kind of make fighting back against the woke left a little bit more fun, a little bit more bearable. And I think that well, I think we might have a doozy of a presentation today because today we are going to be watching sex positivity and youth in the time of COVID. Well, it's really called mental health, sex positivity and youth in the time of COVID-19. Now this is a little bit old. It is. It was aired in May 2021, so about a year and a half old. But as soon as I saw our buddy Sam, does anyone know who this is? I had to do it. I had to. First off, can I just say, so Matt Walsh and Laura Ingraham and all these people are talking about like, oh, they're trying to groom the kids by showing them cartoons about porn. First off, who was the first one to show you the cartoons about porn that are now being shown on Matt Walsh and Laura Ingraham and all those things? That was me over a month ago on one of these streams. You're welcome. So I was kind of going down that rabbit hole. I was annoyed that once again conservatives stole my journalism without credit. And, like, I actually really don't care that much. What matters is the story is out there. I just like pointing out that I got there a month and a half before conservatives. So I started going down the rabbit hole of like sex positivity in sex education in schools, and I landed on this presentation. And yes, Nadia, you're correct. He is someone from the White House. In fact, Sam Brinton is an American nuclear engineer and LGBTQ activist appointed to be the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition in the Office of Nuclear Energy. He is currently a Biden administration political appointee. He was not when this webinar was filmed. When this webinar was filmed, he was, let's see if they have it down here. He was Vice President of Advocacy and Government Affairs at the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project, by the way, is they're very woke. The Trevor Project is extremely woke. Yes, that is he non-binary? I think he might be non-binary. So I don't want to misgender. I don't want to get in trouble. But let me just go to, and literally all I did was type his name into Google. Let's just look at the images. Sam has, well, some fashion sense. Sam likes to wear dresses. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. But he does actually, dispose of like nuclear materials for the government. And, I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't pull it off, but not your typical political appointee is, I guess, what I'm saying. Like, he used to just wear t-shirts. And have mohawks. Or I don't know. I don't know what his gender is. I really don't. I don't want to look into his Twitter because then I might show you information I don't want you to see. But like, so I don't know what his gender is exactly. Maybe it's non, but we're just going to call him they. But yeah, that's who we're going to watch today. in our presentation called Mental Health, Sex Positivity, and Youth in the Time of COVID-19. Now, I'm not actually convinced that this was like in the time of COVID, but let's just play pretend. Let's play pretend. On March 25th, 2021. Oh, yeah. So I guess this was in March and they posted it in May. Seekus, I don't know what Seekus is, but it has to do with sex education and they got a lot of crazy stuff on their channel. I'll tell you what. This is a virtual armchair discussions with leading experts, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. To explore the factors impacting youth mental health, sexual activity, and how sex positivity and comprehensive sex education can play a role in improving mental health for young people. I'm not a betting person, but I think this might be a little scary. I think you might all want to go and get yourself a beverage. Yes, yes, it's all coming back to us now. Yes, he is a political appointee in the Biden administration. Yes, he is. He is. So this is what we're going to watch today, guys. Now, I do have a couple orders of business per usual before we get started. Number 1, if you appreciate the work I'm doing, I hope you will consider supporting my work. There are many ways that you can support my work, and you can find out just some of them by going over to activelyunwoke.com/support, and you can become a monthly donor on my Patreon, anywhere from $5 a month all the way up to $250 a month, depending on what perks you want. I like Patreon as kind of like a pure, kind of like, Karlyn, we like the stuff you're doing. We like that you spend time with us with these streams. We like that you're explaining stuff to us through your streams and your podcasts and your writing, and we want to support that effort. To be quite frank, guys, if the more support I get, the more time I am able to spend doing this. So your support really is critical in making sure that I am helping as many people as possible understand this ideology from a hyper practical perspective. I'm not James Lindsay. I'm not gonna talk to you about the academic foundations. I'm not gonna talk to you about the literature. And part of the reason is he's already doing a phenomenal job at that, and we don't need two of us. What I want to do is focus on how this stuff practically works in the real world. That's part of why we do these streams on Fridays. It's part of why I do investigations with you, because I want you to see exactly how it's going to show up in your day-to-day life so you can best manage it. Patreon is a place where if you appreciate that and you want to make sure that I have more time to do it, become a supporter on Patreon. You can also get some cool perks like this sticker and this Mad Hatter Giving the Red Pill t-shirt, which I think is pretty cool. Now, I also understand that not everyone wants to give on Patreon, and that's totally fine. For those of you who want a different option and maybe would like a little bit more interaction, I'm going to recommend my locals community, because my locals community is one of the places where I interact the most online. You also have options for making a monthly gift of $5 a month or more, however much more you want to give. That's totally fine. You can make a gift of $50 a year or more if you want to, or you can make a one-time gift, and that's going to unlock all the features of locals, and you're going to get more interaction with me, including our 2 Zoom calls that we do twice a week and the supporter Discord and all that stuff. You actually do get that stuff with Patreon too, by the way. You get the supporter Discord, you get the Zoom calls. So the features are similar. I just think locals are looking for a little bit more day-to-day interaction, which is why I tend to spend a little bit more time in there. Another option is my Substack. I do free articles on my Substack. All the articles are free on my Substack. But if you want to become a paying supporter to keep them coming, I've got like 3 or 4 that I'm working on right now. So there's going to be a whole bunch coming out next week, I promise you. I definitely recommend subscribing to the Actively Unwoke Substack if you have not already. And that's a really good option as well if you want to become a paying supporter. But one of the best ways you can support me right now is to become a backer of my Schools Exposed campaign. I am on a mission to train 10,000 parents how to find out what the schools are teaching their kids. I'm going to build an online training program in order to do that. It will launch in January of 2023, just in time for the spring semester. And it is my goal over the next couple of years to run 10,000 parents through that program so that I don't have to be the only one doing school investigations. I want to create as many people as possible doing school investigations. So if you would like to support that, head over to Bing unwokearmy.com/parents. It is also pinned to the top of the chat or in the description, depending on which platform you are watching on at the moment. And if you head over here, you can watch the video to learn more about the program I'm actually presently working on, because we've already met our minimum funding goal. But right now I'm fundraising for a marketing budget, because in order to get 10,000 parents through this program, I need them to know about the program. And so a marketing budget would actually be really, really helpful for me. I will also be funding FOIA requests through the proceeds from this program because FOIA requests cost money. It's just the way it goes. And so the profits will be going to that as well. You can get all sorts of great perks to include early access to the program. You can be one of the very first people to enter it in January when I launch it, and you can get that for $50 right now. That price is going to go up to $99 one-time fee when I launch the program. That supports the technology. It also covers the time that I need to spend doing this stuff. But you can get that for $50 right now. If you want to make a $90 gift, you actually get access for you and you create a scholarship for someone else because I am committed to making this program available to as many people as possible. Even if they can't afford the fee, we're doing that through scholarships and that is available to you. You can get signed copies of my book. You can get private training with me. I will even investigate your school for you. And at the $1,000 level, I will custom knit you a hand knit shawl, just like I'm working on right now. This shawl's turning out to be pretty cool. If I get this shawl done in time for this program to launch, I may sell this shawl as a perk. So if you like the way this shawl is turning out, it could be yours in probably a couple of weeks when I finish it. All right, guys. So those are the two options for support, and I really do appreciate it. I would love to, by the end of this fundraiser, I would really love to hit $20,000 for this program. That would be so amazing. And it would really give me a good boost in terms of marketing and being able to have the resources I need to get it out to as many people as possible. We still got a ways to go. We got 38 days left. Oh my gosh, my computer just has a mind of its own. It's like moving stuff around and like doing all sorts of stuff. We still have 38 days left. I'm going to be launching some cool stuff next week. I've been taking it a little easy because we hit our goal so quickly. And I wanted to give everyone a breath. Okay. So I've been taking it a little bit easy with pushing this program. But next week, I got some cool stuff coming for the back half of the fundraiser. And I'm really, really excited about it. All right, guys, couple more quick things. Now, if you're not subscribed to my main channel, I want to encourage you to do so because on Monday, starting at 10:15 in the morning, we have our first spy stream in a while. I happen to know that a major university is hosting a discussion about becoming an anti-racist institution. I may have a Zoom invite to that discussion. We might be streaming it live on Monday morning, which you'll be able to find on my main channel, youtube.com/Dr. Karlyn Borysenko. I will also, as I tend to do, I will also be streaming on Odyssey, and hello to everyone watching on Odyssey right now. I will be streaming on Rockfin. Hello, Rockfin. I may be streaming on Rumble. My Rumble streaming package is about to end because you do have to pay to stream on Rumble. I'm not sure it's worth it to renew. Let me know if you want me to. But I will be streaming it primarily on my main YouTube channel so we can spy on what the major university is doing. And I'm really looking forward to that. We haven't done a spy stream in a minute, so we'll have to see what's what there. But I also want to encourage everyone. Tomorrow is Saturday. And you know what Saturday means? It's Socialism Saturday. So on my main channel tomorrow, I will be doing Socialism Saturday tomorrow night. And let me just show you. So this isn't Socialism Saturday, obviously, but just some of the materials we might watch tomorrow for Socialism Saturday. We've got, and this, when I say Socialism Saturday, I do actually mean legitimate socialists. This is the real deal. We've got the new abortion strategies. We could watch that. Look at this. This guy right here is on MSNBC all the time, surviving autocracy. Huh. Oh, look, Kimberly Crenshaw is on the Socialist channel. Maybe we'll watch a video from them. No, that's kind of like more happy hour thing, but we're going to find some good socialist content tomorrow evening. And I promise you, the socialist content is the preview into the dystopian future that we can all anticipate happening if we don't start making progress with this woke shit. So if you want a preview of where things are going, Socialism Saturday will be tomorrow night, probably starting around 6. I haven't quite decided yet, but probably around 6, 7 o'clock, something like that. Drop by. We'll do a nice long stream and we will watch some socialism. All right, guys. Last order of business. I got to pick out a beer. Let me show you the beautiful beers that we have today, and you guys will get to vote on which beer we start with. If you're drinking something fun, let us know in the chat. You are, of course, it's not to be alcoholic. It could be like a nice, fun, like mocktail or spritzer or something like that. But let us know what you're drinking in the chat, and of course, mount that like button. Let me get the beer and show you what's on tap. All right, check this out. There are some good beers. Why is my hair crazy today? You know what it is? Because I haven't cut it in a while. That's why my hair is crazy today. Bot says, oh, you're drinking cherry vanilla Coke? Bot, I might have a beer to go with your cherry vanilla Coke, but not to first start off. Check this out. Pop Rocks. Pop Rocks. They put Pop Rocks in a beer. It's called Fizzy Rocks. Popping Candy Sour. This is a sour ale with, wait for it, oranges, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, cherries, guava, mangoes, pineapple, passion fruit, blueberries, plums, and rock candy. Pop Rocks. Had to do it. Had to do it. The next option we had, and I don't know about clown shoes. I've never had clown shoes because I boycotted them for a long time because I think they're misogynistic douchebags in real life. And so I boycotted their beer for a long time. This is like the first clown shoes beer I might ever try. It is, and I had to do it. It's called Pumpkin Sombrero Mexican Style Chocolate Stout with pumpkin puree because it sounds really good. Sounds really, really good. All right. Let's see. Which do I want to go to next? Oh, let's go with this one next. This one is, it looks very simple, right? Very simple. This is called Eric More Cowbell. More Cowbell. This is a chocolate milk stout. Nothing wrong with a chocolate milk stout. It is brewed with chocolate, vanilla, and milk sugar. And lastly, and this one is for Bot. Look at that crazy can. This is a Cheesecake Wishes and Bugatti Dreams. It is an imperial sour ale with cherry and cheesecake. Cheers. So I got a good selection of beer today. I've got a good selection tomorrow too. I won't drink all these beers on stream. I'm not like that kind of person or anything, but I am putting a poll into the chat. Let me know which beer you would like me to start off with. Do you want me to start off with Pop Rocks? Do you want me to start off with Pumpkin? This sombrero one? Do you want me to start off with Cowbell, which is our chocolate milk stout? Or do you want me to start off with Cheesecake Wishes and Bugatti Dreams? Let me know in the chat which one you would like me to start off with. And in the meantime, we got Murphy's Pool in for the super chat. Twitter has upped its game. Both accounts got nuked. Murphy's Pool, you got to get a VPN. I've been banned about 16 times after my Nancy Pelosi parody account. None of my old tricks to sneak back on, work, drink Peroni. No, we don't drink Italian water beer, dude. No Italian water beer on this channel, Murphy's Pool. We can't do it. But get yourself a VPN. I'm not saying that I'm avoiding a permanent Twitter ban at the moment, which I'm working very diligently on. By the way, today, do you know what I fucking sent Twitter today? I actually went to the state offices whose emails address I posted on Twitter, which is why I got permanently banned on Twitter. I have written notes from every fucking person whose email address I posted on Twitter to Twitter saying, this is a public email address. She's authorized to share it. I swear to God. That's what I had to send to Twitter today. I mean, come on. I'm going to end up suing these people if they don't turn my account back on. I swear to God. Because Twitter is like in breach of contract. They're claiming I violated their privacy policy when I posted public emails that are available on other websites on their service, which is not a violation of their privacy policy. And I now have handwritten fucking notes authorizing me to share those email addresses. So if Twitter doesn't reinstate my account after this, we're lawyering up. I actually have 2 lawyers that I've been talking to about this. And breach of contract, baby. This is not a 230 thing. This is breach of contract. No reasonable person thinks I violated Twitter's contract. Twitter is fucking with my business by banning my account when I did not violate their privacy policy. I even have written authorization from the state. So I'm working on the Twitter issue. I'm working on it. I have not given up. Anyway, poll closing in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Pop Rocks is our winner. I was really hoping you guys would choose that one to start with. I really, really, really was. All right, let's crack this bad boy open. Murphy's Pool, you have a VPN and they still got you? Is the VPN turned on? Is the question. Change the location of the VPN. Did you change the location? Ooh, it looks nice and fruity. It looks very refreshing. It's darker than I thought it would be. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Happy Fridays to all. I mean, Twitter would be pretty fucked if I sued them, I'm pretty sure, because not only is Twitter in breach of contract, like, this is not a free speech thing. This is like a legitimate, no reasonable person thinks I broke the terms of service. But when Twitter permanently banned my account, they also sent emails out to everyone and their mother who had ever mass reported me, basically saying that I was guilty of hate speech and violence and harassment, none of which is what I was banned for. And so they also defamed me. So I can legitimately sue Twitter's ass for defamation. And so I hope it doesn't come to that. I just want Twitter to acknowledge that I have handwritten notes from the state saying that their privacy was not violated when I tweeted their fucking email addresses. So we'll see what they do. Whatevs. All right, guys, we got our beer. Let's get this show on the road. Happy Friday, everyone. All right, we can do it. Okay.
Here we go. And it's recording too, so we'll get it.
Oh, great.
We're live.
We're live.
Live.
Hi, everyone. Welcome in. We'll get started shortly.
She, her. Put your pronouns in the bio if you feel, or in the chat if you feel so inclined. Not in the bio. What bio? Put your pronouns in your chat if you feel so inclined. Why are we waiting? You guys are live on the internet. No, they're not live. Yeah, okay. Then there, good pronouns. Wise ass, good pronouns. What does that mean, James Jones? I don't know. Seems a little fishy. What are they waiting for? Why would you stream live on the internet when you don't say anything? These people never understand technology. Oh, thank you. Pop Rocks is my favorite flavored beer. Definitely better than Peroni. Italian water beer. Cheers. It basically tastes like a Kool-Aid, essentially. This tastes like Kool-Aid is what it is. It tastes like strawberry Kool-Aid. Doesn't taste like Pop Rocks. So I'm knitting right now with some fuzzy yarn. I'm putting a fuzzy stripe in the shawl. Just one fuzzy, just for a little bit of breaking it up. But I think it looks really good, doesn't it? As we're waiting for these people to start their webinar. I'm about to fast forward, but I don't want to miss someone accidentally saying something that that they shouldn't because they forget that they're live on the internet. What are they doing? This is a good question. Great question.
Okay, there's like 91 people in here, so I'm just gonna say we're gonna go ahead and get started. And
you don't have to have beer that tastes like hops. This doesn't taste like hops, and it's beer.
And on time, so welcome. Give yourselves a
gotta
back,
explore outside of your comfort
smile,
zone.
A positive message in your head. And we are going to jump in. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another important conversation on our new Seekis online programming. I'm so glad to have everybody here.
These people got a ton of sex ed videos on their channel. A ton of sex ed videos.
And love here very shortly. We have all kinds of people here. Looks like 97 right now. So
hang on. You absolutely can find craft beer in Virginia. I'm sorry. You can 100% find craft beer in Virginia. You can find craft beer in some supermarkets. You just gotta look around a little bit. But just look up craft beer store or specialty beer store near you, or find like a craft brewery near you. I 100% have bought craft beer in Virginia, so I know you can find craft beer in Virginia. I believe in you, Vampire King Darkness. I want you to have the good stuff. It exists. Just gotta look for it. We're just getting started, Brooklyn Way. No worries.
So the number just keeps climbing. Not to make anybody nervous
Because
here. We're
it's
gonna
not
do it. We got this.
Budweiser.
So let's go ahead and jump in. First, I'll introduce myself. My name is Andrew Aliman. My pronouns are he, him. And I am the vice chair for the CICUS Board of Directors. And I also am bringing in my experiences working at Black and Pink, my experiences as a clinical social worker.
He's a social
and
worker.
As a
Oh,
queer person
good.
of color myself. So
And as a queer person of color.
a little bit about CICUS before I tell you about our brilliant panelists. CICUS was founded in 1964 to be the leading voice for shame-free education on human sexuality and a champion for sexual and reproductive freedom as an essential part of the human experience.
So uber progressive organization that's advocating for sex ed to be, well, let's just call it comprehensive if we're being polite. Comprehensive sex ed to little kids. And also like abortion on demand people. That's who we're watching today.
CICUS asserts that sex education is a powerful vehicle for social change. We are the only national organization solely focused on advocating for the rights of all people to accurate information, comprehensive sexuality education, and the full spectrum of sexual and reproductive health services.
It is
at
spelled
CICUS, we believe that sex ed can spark social change at the nexus of many social justice movements.
Sex ed can spark social change at the nexus of many social justice movements. That doesn't sound uber woke at all, does it?
For racial justice, LGBTQ rights, to the Me Too movement, and urgent conversations around consent and healthy relationships. So that's who we are. Thank you very much for joining CICUS Online, a series of virtual armchair discussions sponsored by B5, that explore how sex education can be a vehicle for social change with leading experts in the field. B-Vibe's core mission is to empower exploration through education by offering a constant array of accessible content, carefully written guides, and a real-world information. The brand promotes inclusivity and informed play. CICUS Online seeks to explore the latest sex ed topics with the folks who know the most about.
Hang on. Why are we talking about informed play in the context of sex education for youth? Because that is what this webinar is about. Why are we talking about informed play in that context? Yeah, WTF is that? This dude, like, okay, let me show you guys before we continue with this. Let me just show you guys. Can you guys see? Yeah, okay. Look at like they have so much shit on here. Like so much crazy stuff. So we almost watched this one today, porn literacy and sex education. We were this close until I noticed this one and I was like, man, we got to watch that one. This is, what is this? A deeper dive into LGBTQ inclusivity in sex ed. We've got Ready to Change US Sex Education for Good. That's just a little one. Let's see. Consent, sex positivity, and pleasure, filling the gaps in sex education. Dude, we got to watch that one. I have to. Taking action at home, building LGBTQ plus inclusive sex ed in your school district. Holy shit. Building LGBTQ plus sex ed in your school district. Inclusive sex ed. Like, this channel is filled with crazy shit. And some of this stuff is old, too. They stopped posting on this channel for a while. So, lots of stuff that we can watch there. Oh, they fucking... Okay.
LGBTQ rights, to the Me Too movement, and urgent conversations around consent and healthy relationships.
Sin, this
So,
probably does need a safe word.
That's who we are. Thank you very much
if
for
you had
joining
if you had a
Seek Us
safe word, what
Online,
would your
a
safe word
series
be?
of virtual armchair discussions
Everyone put their
sponsored
safe
by
word in the chat.
B5, that explore how sex education can be a vehicle for social change with leading experts in the field. B-Vibe's core mission is to empower exploration through education by offering a constant array of accessible content, carefully written guides, and a real-world information. The brand promotes inclusivity
Bill
and informed
M.
play.
Fascist is his safe
Seek Us
word.
Online seeks to explore the latest
Trains,
sex ed topics with the folks
megalomania,
who know the most
allyship.
about them.
You guys have
All
great safe words,
proceeds
but
for
safe word
Seek
is
Us
not a
Online
good safe word.
events
You need to come up with
support
something more
invited
original. Safe word is
speakers
not a good
and
safe word.
Seekis's work for advancing
Safe
progressive
word,
sex
nope.
ed
That's not a good
policy
safe word either, because
across the
sometimes when you
United
say no, you
States.
really mean yes.
Tonight's event, which you are all here for today,
I don't know how to
is
pronounce
mental
that.
health, sex positivity, and young people or youth, where we will explore the factors impacting youth mental health, sexual activity, and how sexual positivity and comprehensive sex education can play a role in improving mental health for young people. But before we begin, let's go over a couple housekeeping items. You know, we all love our Zoom housekeeping rules. As you know, we are here on the Zoom webinar platform, which means that you all are muted and your videos are off, ours are not. However, feel free to chat in the function. I'm gonna say I would love it if you all could
I love that safe word.
make some
Murphy's
noise and stuff in the chat. Then we know that you're here. We know that you're enjoying it. If somebody says something that you really enjoy, give them a little shout out, retweet it, requote it, all of those sort of things. So please be involved in the chat. Also, there's the Q&A box that you should see, and we invite you to use that to submit your questions. The lovely Gabby Doyle, Seekis's partner,
Magpie would have
Seekis's
absolute
state
opinions about the
partnership
safe word
manager,
conversations.
will be monitoring the audience questions and Q&A, making sure that we stay online, making sure that I'm doing my job, all of those sort of things. So thank you to Gabby for keeping us on track. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can. If we can't get to them, we'll do our best to collect some unanswered questions and do a brief response or follow-up. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available for everyone who registered for the event. We also plan to post the recording on Seekis's website at www.seekis.org.
Just so you know, people on Twitter probably think I'm grooming you guys all right now by teaching you about safe words.
Available to the public early next week.
As
many nonprofit organizations, the coronavirus pandemic and economic uncertainty has impacted Seekis and support for our work. This event is intended to be a fundraiser for Seekis, so we invite you to visit seekis.org.
Hang on.
/.
Hang on. They're doing a webinar on the internet about sex positivity for kids, and they're intending it to be a fundraiser. Did you just hear him say that? I know I'm kind of talking over things and we're joking in the chat, but he literally just said, we intended this to be a fundraiser because our fundraising ain't going so well because of COVID. He's literally saying that talking about sex positivity for kids is a way they raise money. That's effed up. Murphy's Pool says, unfortunately, my wife's safe word phrase is Gutfeld. That is, I'm not sure that would do it for me, Murphy's Pool. You gotta listen, you gotta take charge and put that woman in her place. Tell her to change her safe word. Just take charge.
Donate to make a contribution so that
safe word abolitionist
continue working with federal, state, and local governments and schools.
In general, not that I would know these things because, of course, I'm innocent and virginal and I don't know these things at all. But if I were going to have a safe word, I would have it be something that I wouldn't normally say in everyday conversation or, during private time. You don't want the word to be something you would normally say. You want it to be like weird so that like the person that you're having fun time with identifies it. That's a good safe word.
to advance comprehensive sex education programs and policies.
That's why no is not a good safe word, because you might say that in like
So,
normal conversation. Someone might be confused.
Let's go ahead and learn who is here tonight. The amazing panelists for you all. You don't have to hear my voice all night, although I'm sure that you're loving it and enjoying it. So let's jump straight in. First up, we have Melanie Willingham Jaggers, who uses they and she pronouns and is the interim executive director at GLSEN. If you're not familiar with GLSEN,
I've heard of
GLSEN's a
GLSEN
national
before.
nonprofit that works to ensure K through 12 education is safe and affirming for all students, and that means including the LGBTQ.
Can someone look up GLSEN's website for me, if you don't mind? Just if it's easy. GLSEN. Because it just said that they assure that K through 12 schools are affirming, so I'm pretty sure I've seen them before, but just chat in that. If someone finds that website, can you just chat that in? And if not, I'll look it up later.
Plus youth that we are talking about as well in this conversation today. Her vision for the next chapter of GLSEN's work is rooted in the belief that education can and should be
that
an
doesn't
experience
sound
that is safe,
age appropriate,
affirming, and liberating. And that can be achieved only when we build in racial, gender, and disability justice in our education system as a key indicator of success. I don't know about you, but I feel like that deserves some snaps right there.
No, that does not deserve snaps.
Melanie is bringing in all sorts of different experience from various places, including the Worker Institute at Cornell University's School of Industrial and Labor Relations, as well as
is this what it is?
Serving as the former board chair of the Audre Lorde Project. So we are really excited for Melanie to bring in.
Well, remember, this was a year and a half ago, so snaps may have been in then.
Work in social justice movements and organizations. So thank you very much. Snaps to Melanie. Moving on, we have Jacqueline Dean. Also, I'm not doing any of these people justice. They're way more amazing than I even have time to say today. But next, Jacqueline Dean. Her
thank
pronouns,
you, Scott. I didn't see the
policy
link.
and government affairs director at the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum. Jacqueline was born and raised in Plano, Texas.
That link didn't come through.
And is a proud
for some
daughter
reason.
of Taiwanese immigrants.
Here, I'll look it up.
She started her career working on a state representative campaign in Houston through Annie's List, which helps elect progressive pro-choice women into office in Texas.
Do you know how I know this website? I think I've been here before. I'm pretty sure I've been here before. Let me just show you this website real quick. They always take an hour and a half to do introductions. This website has a feature. This is a feature that they put on these websites to make to give teenagers a safe and quick way to leave in case their parent walks in on them, to make them think that they are unsafe in their own house. And so this is what popped up. You can leave this site by pressing the escape key 3 times or tapping 3 times quickly on the mobile. They do this so that when kids visit this website, they get the message that this is a place that adults might be afraid if they were on. Otherwise, why would they need to leave it quickly? LGBTQ plus families, we need you. So that looks like it has some interesting stuff on it. Oh, an inclusive curriculum. Oh, good. Oh, wow. This does look very inclusive, doesn't it? It does look very inclusive. All right. Look, they've even got it up here. Okay, back to the webinar. Oh, I was already on. Oh, I wasn't even showing you guys. Oh, hang on. I wasn't even showing you guys because I had it set up for sound. All right, well, you get the idea. You get the idea. All right.
She also served as Peace Corps volunteer in Morocco, working on programs, after-school programs with adolescent youth. And then she joined NAPOF in 2017, where she leads the organization's government relations and legislative affairs on policy issues and reproductive health and rights, immigrant rights, and
It is like the
economic
boss key.
justice.
That is what it is.
So please welcome Jacqueline to this space as well.
Oh, you did see it. Oh,
Snaps.
thank you, Reagan.
And then, last but certainly not least, Sam Brinton.
Good. I'm glad I didn't screw that up. Oh,
from
Sam.
Trevor Project, who is the Vice President of Advocacy. Ooh, hitting my computer. Vice President of Advocacy and Government Affairs, as I mentioned, at Trevor Project. Sam uses they, them pronouns. I can't remember if I said, but Jacqueline
See,
uses
that's what I
she,
thought.
her
I thought he was
pronouns.
they, them pronouns.
And if you're not familiar with Trevor Project,
Or they use
Trevor
they, them
Project is
pronouns,
the
whatever.
leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. So excited to have Sam's perspective on how mental health impacts young people right now. So thank you very much, bringing all these policy and program experiences. And I'm ready to jump right in. I don't know about y'all. We have 111 people here with us. They're saying things in the chat, so I think we're all ready. So let's jump in. Something that's always important to me is like centering our why. Figuring out why we're here, why we're doing the work. So my first question for all of you is, what's your why? Why did you even agree to join this discussion today about youth mental health? Whoever wants to start. I feel like Sam's going for it.
All of these sites
I was,
do.
reading text.
All
I
of these
was going to
sites
give that space
have-
to others. If Jack, I am
that
happy
one.
to do it. I'm
All of
an
them
annoying ball
have-
of energy. So if you want to go after me, totally fine. But Jackie, do you want to do it first?
Sure, I can go first.
Okay, I've never actually heard that guy speak before, and he sounds... Okay, I'm sorry. That they, I misgendered again. I apologize. That was an inadvertent. I've never heard that they speak before, and they sound exactly like they sound exactly like I thought they might. I'm just saying.
First, so I'm here today, and I said yes to speaking today because I'm very passionate about bringing visibility to API communities, and I think that API young people have very unique experiences when it comes to mental health and sexuality.
Right. This is back in the before time when Asians were considered oppressed. Because remember, there was a brief period of time in late 2020, early 2021. Well, actually kind of during 2020 for the pandemic, but like there was a brief period of time when Asians were considered to be like one of the more oppressed classes because of that Atlanta, like the guy was addicted to sex and he shot up a couple of massage parlors, and then they said it was because he hated Asians. He didn't. He just had a sex addiction. It had nothing to do with them being Asian at all. It was bad and heinous. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was good. But it wasn't because they were Asian. But anyway, remember when Asians had that moment? It was like the Stop Asian Hate campaign. That's when this was filmed. And so when she's talking about, I just want to make the world a better place for Asian American Pacific Islanders, AAPI, that's what that stands for. This is during the time when Asians were still considered to be oppressed. Asians are one of those, they're very fluid on the oppression hierarchy. So the oppression hierarchy, for those who are new or haven't read my book, the oppression hierarchy, the woke call it the progressive stack, or the socialists call it the progressive stack, is basically a rank order of who gets the most oppression points. By race, generally speaking, it's fluid, it moves around, but generally speaking, Black people are at the top, and the darker your skin, the more oppressed you are. And then generally speaking is Native American, then generally speaking is Latino, Latinx, then generally speaking is Asian, then generally speaking is Jew, and then under Jew is white. White is at the bottom, Black is at the top, and then there's some fuzziness in between. Asians are generally down at the bottom because Asians generally do well in school and are able to do good, like get good jobs, and like they have really strong family values around education, and so they tend to do well in the world. So they're usually lower on the oppression hierarchy. However, during the pandemic and then after that massage parlor shooting, they shot up. So Asians were basically under black people for a little while. Black people were always at the top. Asians never reached the pinnacle of the oppression hierarchy, but for like a while, they were like right under black people as being perceived as the most oppressed. Does anyone want to guess in the chat what day that changed? Because it was a really specific day. What day did Asians stop being oppressed? What specific day did that happen? And they went back down. They still have oppression points, don't get me wrong, but they went back down to the bottom because the Asian position is very, very fluid. Sometimes they're oppressed, sometimes they're not. It depends on the news cycle. That's a hint. It depends on the news cycle. It depends on what they're going to get the most value out of at any given time. What day specifically did Asians fall back down to the bottom of the oppression hierarchy? Does anyone have any guesses? Jan, at least you're honest. I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. It is. But I remember this specifically. Nope, this is not true. Nope, because black people always committed the most hate crimes against Asians proportionally, but the media never talked about it. So there was an old Asian lady that got attacked in New York City outside of a fancy apartment building. Whole thing caught on video. They documented the whole thing in the Washington Post, and it was a black guy that attacked her. The Washington Post never said the guy's race. They showed the video, never said his race. So no, it wasn't that. They were still oppressed. Can't recall. Nope. It didn't have anything to do with school admissions. George Floyd. Yes, Emily, correct. The day that the Derek Chauvin verdict came out, and then there on that same day that the Derek Chauvin verdict came out, there was another police shooting. And this one was justified. Do you guys remember this? It happened on the same effing day. And it really looked like people were going to riot because of that police shooting. But it was totally justified because the woman drew a knife on someone and the police shot her. And this was all on the camera. But it was the day the Derek Chauvin ruling happened. And then there was that other potential police shooting. Asians were not talked about anymore after that. Everything was focused back on black people.
Identity, and so I think it's really important to bring that to this space, especially as APIs have gotten a lot of attention in the last week. I think we've been talking a lot about racial misogyny that's been taking place in violence, and a lot of that, the really, I think a lot of the root causes of that can be from a lack of education and supportive environments in our education systems that we get as young people.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's really powerful. Thank you for getting us started.
Yes, your personal story is so powerful.
Is
oh my
kind
God.
of being. I do this because I like to think of it as like the greatest physics problem known to mankind. We're trying to change the future, right? Like I understand. My background is I'm a nuclear engineer by training, right? I used to disarm nuclear bombs, and that's really stressful. But there is nothing as stressful as recognizing what is coming for the young people of the current generation. This idea of how do I make sure that I am living my life in a way that is supportive, right? That is creating a better world than when I got it, but also in one that is a little bit less stressful, right? Like my why of mental health is because mine isn't always great. Before everyone joined, I started with the point of like, I'm surviving with a smile. That is my mental health right now. It is.
Wait. So the Biden administration hired someone who admittedly has mental health problems to dispose of nuclear waste. That seems like a great idea, Joe. Nothing could possibly go wrong with that plan. What the hell is that? That is the what is his title? Like the assistant secretary for like nuclear waste something in the Biden administration. He works for Joe Biden right now. He is paid with our tax dollars. And by the way, I don't actually care how he dresses. Just so we're all clear. He can wear whatever the fuck he wants. I care about his bad ideas. He's got a good necklace. That lipstick is, it's a choice. I don't personally care how he dresses. Or they dress. Sorry, Mr. Inadvertent. I did not mean it. I don't care how they dress. That is immaterial. My concern is that his ideas are really bad and wrong.
It is not thriving. I will get there. I have been there. I shall return. But right now it's survival. And that reality of at least I have the ability to survive, and that not all LGBTQ young people and a lot of all people out there, right, are having that, means that we have work left to do, right? Like that we have a lot of effort to make sure that a lot more folks don't have to just be surviving.
Folks,
and that they can't survive in the first place.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder that it's okay to not be okay sometimes, right?
So I'll jump in. So my why is because I got my eyes set on freedom for all of us. And my understanding
True believer.
of myself
True
is
believer. Well, they're all
porous and
true
it's
believers.
connected, right? So when I do this work, when I show up in these ways, it's not because like I'm not showing up for some theoretical outside community. I'm showing up because it's personal, because we are all my people. And I would end with this and just say that, cis sexism, white supremacy, patriarchy, colonialism is trying to take us all out. And I come from people who have always said, hell no to that. And that work continues. And so my why, the why that I showed up today, the why I show up to work every day is because
No, there are no useful idiots in this discussion. They're all true believers.
None of us are free until all of us are free. And I take that super personally, right? This is about my freedom. And I know that I'm not free until we all are. So that's why I'm here.
Yes.
Yes,
my heart
queen.
just broke because I realized that Zoom webinar does not have like hearts and thumbs up and stuff. And I just went to give you a heart and it's like my heart was destroyed. But huge heart, thank you.
Devastating.
So I know that I'm a panelist, but I'm gonna answer this question in the sense of what's so important for me is that young people are watching us every day. And so we're constantly modeling for young people. And so if we send the message that we have to be on, we have to be perfect all the time, then that's something that they think that they always have to live up to. So I'm going to add that to the amazing things that you all said as well, which is my why I showed up today and said, all right, I'll moderate this. Question 2, let's jump in. So we know from several studies and youth surveys, including GLSEN supporting safe and healthy schools for LGBTQ youth and National Climate Survey, as well as Trevor Project's research brief on Black LGBTQ youth mental health and National Survey on LGBTQ youth mental health, that under-resourced young people tend to experience more impactful and long-lasting mental health outcomes. So, with that being said, my question for all of you is, what does thriving look like for under-resourced young people, thinking about BIPOC, LGBTQIA2S+, young people living with
LGBTQIA2S+. Oh, I did it.
Young people
I don't know if I was
navigating
going to be
the
able to get through that.
pandemic, all of that. What does thriving look like?
So I love that I just said, right, I am surviving, but I'm seeking thriving for others. So I'll answer the question with the hope I have, right? Not necessarily today, but where we are aiming. I love that you brought in the is a problem, but we
You people
also know the
never
solutions.
give
I think that has
data.
been one of the really important parts of why we have to ask questions as it relates to mental health, as it
I
relates
call
to
bullshit. They never give
identity.
data.
We need to be bringing representation, not just as a personal story, right? Like, no, it's not just what's worked for what's going to work in Sam's life. It's what's going to work across the board because we know that it's worked for others, right? Like that's let's center our solutions there, right? So first off, adverse mental health impacts and adverse physical health outcomes are cyclical, right? We we may like have that moment where like, oh my gosh, Sam's having a thriving day. Awesome. But
Okay, again, who the hell is this? He works for the Biden administration currently, right now, paid for by our taxpayer dollars, to dispose of nuclear waste. That is literally his job. Sam Brinton. This is who Joe Biden thought would be the very best person to dispose of our nuclear waste. And again, I'm not saying that because of his outfit. Their outfit. God fucking damn it. Their outfit. I really don't want to misgender people. I just find the they thing very hard.
if tomorrow I'm yet
It's
again
because he has
having
bad
my
ideas.
rights voted on, that's gonna move out of thriving real fast there, right? So
So what Sam just told us is that we can control how he feels on any given day. And that shouldn't be the case. If you go into a psychological tailspin because something happens that you don't like, you need to get therapy. I'm being serious here, guys. Your circumstances, what happens, okay, our emotions create our experience. Our experience does not create our emotions. The idea that our experience creates our emotions is a fallacy. It is not true. What we have going on in our head at any given time is what will create our emotions. The feelings we have about someone saying something or doing something we don't like. It's the thing in our head that creates the emotions. It's not the experience itself. And so the fact that Sam is literally saying on a webinar on the internet that he is easily controllable by other people, that gives me pause as to whether or not he should be in charge of nuclear waste for the Biden administration. I'm just saying, it has nothing to do with his outfit at all. God fucking damn it. It has nothing to do with their outfit at all. Has nothing to do with the statement necklace, has nothing to do with the lipstick, has nothing to do with the Chanel jacket. It's the fact that they are, I keep saying his, God, I swear to God, that's not on purpose. It has to do with the fact that he is literally telling us that other people can control his mental health, and that is not true. Yeah, every time I accidentally misgender him, drink. God fucking damn, Bot, you set me up. Every time I accidentally misgender they, everyone has to drink. That was a setup, Bot. Don't think I don't recognize that.
I think that there's a really clear point of we have to try to break that cycle with enough good policy, with enough resilience, with enough actions that we don't keep falling into the I'm okay today, but tomorrow could be my last. If you're a young person and you have low self-worth, right? You may choose to engage in sexual risk behaviors such as not using a condom. Like, you could then, in that cycle, that could lead to contracting an STI. You may then face societal stigma because of that STI, right? And then that's leading back again to your lower self-worth. So you see the cycle there. The cycle there means that if we had education, if we had
M169 says, stop apologizing. We know you don't have bad intent. The brain can't keep up with this. Your eyes are seeing what they see. Go with it. I understand, but I don't want to get in trouble, okay? I don't want to get in trouble. And I do actually legitimately think we should be using people's pronouns. I know this is not a popular opinion, but like, I actually do think we should be using people's pronouns when they're reasonable, because I think it's basic respect and courtesy to the person. Like, even if I think that they need to go see a therapist, I still want to extend basic respect and courtesy, because if I don't extend basic respect and courtesy, then I can't expect the same in return. So I do actually believe in using people's pronouns. It is escaping me today for some reason, and I don't want to get in trouble. I'm on YouTube right now, dude. I'm on YouTube. This can get clipped and put on the internet. Like, anyone can clip this and be like, she is a transphobe. And God knows people in the state of Vermont have already done this. I was already called a transphobe in the state of Vermont, even though, like, I'm one of the least transphobic people in the world. I'm not transphobic at all. And I'm like, let's respect everyone, and I don't care if they wear a dress. And people are like, she's a transphobe because she accidentally said he instead of they. I'm just saying, I don't want to get in trouble.
A culture that didn't stigmatize these types of actions. If we were able to help that young person in the classroom and say, you are more than worthy. This is not a space. We're gonna be able to break that cycle and actually, start to save some more lives. So your thriving cycle is gonna be that opposite, right? You are inclusively educated. You feel empowered and not stigmatized. When you walk into the classroom, are like, I get to learn and be myself, not hide and pray that some of this sticks in my head while I'm going through this this moment of doubt, right? Like, it is, I told you I was a nuclear physicist, right? It is easier for me to study when I have my, my Kesha, my playing in the background. Why? Because I'm hearing a proud, independent woman say, this is my
come
experience.
on.
Like, join me or get lost.
Oh,
and that's
come
going to help me
on.
remember my quantum
No,
physics.
that's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. You cannot study with music that has lyrics. You cannot concentrate with music that has lyrics because you're listening to the fucking lyrics and thinking about how it's a proud black woman. That means you're not studying. That means you're not focusing on the material in front of you. The very best music to study with is classical music. And this is proven. I'm not making this shit up. The very best music to study with is classical music, or alternatively, music that is just it does not have lyrics, does not have words. So I now don't trust that I now don't trust that Sam knows what the F he's talking about when it comes to disposing of nuclear waste, because he's just told me that when he's studying to be a nuclear engineer, he is listening to Kesha and reflecting on that she's a proud black woman. That's not what I want you reflecting on when you're studying about disposing of nuclear waste, Sam. I want you reflecting on the nuclear waste, not Kesha.
It's better than listening to potentially a sermon of someone who says that I shouldn't exist. That is really hard to kind of do that. So if we're thinking of thriving, right, we just literally think of anything that will punctuate a cycle and keep it on an upward path, right? Instead of just trying to solve all the problems, our thriving needs to be about breaking cycles, about saying there are other cycles that could make you have a better existence that don't rely on depreciation of self-worth, that don't rely on stigma. So the physical and mental health that we are trying to enable.
Wait, is Kesha white?
Is about.
Did he say proud black woman? I don't know any of these people. I don't listen to music that comes out today. Music that comes out today sucks. 90s music was the best. I almost exclusively listen to 90s music. Okay, maybe like early 2000s as well. Maybe some 80s sprinkled in there. But I don't listen to modern. I don't know. I know of Kesha. I don't know who the fuck Kesha is. But I swear he said proud black woman or whatever. Whatever. Whoever the fuck Kesha is, proud fucking woman. Fine. 90s had the best music, though. I don't care what anyone says. The 90s had the best music.
Independence. It's about, again, what is that breaking of the cycle? It's about reminding the person that they're in the driver's seat. You're no longer having to drive around that circle again. You get to take the off ramp. You get to go and to that lovely beach vacation. That's your choice. Not having to go back into the grind. So maybe that was way too many metaphors, and hopefully some of that made sense. But the short answer is thriving is about breaking bad cycles and driving new paths. And those new paths need to be given the resources.
And come on, like self-determination, self-choice, validating
oh, he's literally
identities
snapping.
in the classroom.
He's literally snapping.
All of that. Thank you. Melanie, I knew that you wanted to talk on this one too.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm going to answer your question about thriving, but first I'm going to ask us a question, which is, what do we owe our children, right? What do we owe our children? We owe our children systems that serve them, especially the ones that we require them to be in, right? And that the systems serve them, and that they see them, and that they help make them more whole, right? That's what our systems owe. That's what we owe our children. That's what our systems ought to provide. Now, Sam just talked a lot about what doesn't happen in those systems, and I've got the research. We've got the receipt. Glisten
They
has the receipt.
always claim.
So
She's
I can
from
talk about those in more
Glisten.
detail.
Holy
also,
shit!
but
I didn't realize she was
here's what I would
from
just say at the
Glisten.
top, which is that education can and should be liberating, right? We are sending people in at 3 years.
What does liberation mean? What does liberation mean when they're used by people like this? This is a pop quiz for the chat. What does the word liberation mean when it's used by people like this? I know you guys know the answer to this. What do we think when we hear the word liberation? When it's used, education should be liberating. What does that mean? I know you know the answer to this, chat. Come on. Yup. Socialism! Rid the world of capitalism. Revolution. Communism, socialism. We're going to use those two interchangeably. They're not exactly the same thing. Obviously, communism is the most extreme form of crazy. Socialism's not that far off from that form of crazy, though. Socialism. No, it's more about so when they say the words abolition or liberation, what they mean is getting rid of capitalism. That's what they mean. Remember, 4 goals of the woke left: gain as much power as possible to destabilize the system, attack capitalism, and usher in that Marxist utopia. Exactly, bot. Liberate us from our internalized capitalism. That is exactly what it means. Every time you hear the word abolition or liberation, I want you to think capitalism in your head, because that's what they're trying to liberate you from. That's what they're trying to abolish. No worries, Bill. Appreciate it. Thanks for being a good sport.
Years old to pre-K, 5 years old to kindergarten. They're coming out at 18, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. And it should be the outcome of this system that they are more whole, that they understand themselves, their community, their world, the society, our democracy more, right? And so when we're talking about sexual health, it's part of sexual education. This is part of education, right? This is about, who is my body? What is my body doing? What is this person's body? What is that person's body doing? How might my body and their body be in conversation with one another? Like, this education is about understanding the world around you, and we have a responsibility to educate. And I think we have to take seriously what miseducation is, and both the disservice that it does, but the rights that it tramples on, right? When you are able, when a system tells a child, a whole and perfect child, that they are wrong and not whole and imperfect, right? Then that system is incorrect. That system is wrong. And when we require our children to go through those systems, something is deeply broken, right? So what does thriving look like? Thriving looks
I'll
like,
say it as many times as I need to, Sin. Don't worry.
The truth about themselves, about their communities, about their world, right? And getting reliable information from adults in their lives about how to navigate that world.
Oh, hang on. Brooklyn Way giving us some language lessons. And by the way, guys, if you disagree with my definitions of things, let me know. Or if you have a definition that I haven't learned yet, let me know, because the definitions I'm giving you are the definitions that I have interpreted based on watching probably more of this type of content than any person on the planet. And I'm not exaggerating. I really think I've watched more of this type of content, like the woke in the wild, the woke in the real world. I'm pretty sure I've watched more of it than any other person on the planet. This is why I'm a little crazy. I watch this shit like all the time. And so the definitions that I'm giving you are based on having watched thousands of hours of this. But if you think I'm wrong, tell me. If you have a definition of something that I don't know yet, tell me, because we can add it to the list. Brooklyn Way is giving a great example of this. The whole child, that's from SEL. SEL right now, I know this much about SEL. I don't know a lot about it though, because I haven't done yet, and I need to do this, and maybe we can do this together. I need to do deep dives into SEL that I haven't done yet. I know surface level SEL, but I just haven't done deep dives into it yet. Yes, and we do need to look at Glow Academy. We do. But this is a really great tip. So when they say the whole child, as she just did, that's social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is practicing psychology without a license in schools with our taxpayer dollars, of course.
The best decisions they can. That is what leads to thriving. So I'll stop there.
Yes. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think I was ready for this tonight. Listen, I prepped with y'all and I still wasn't ready for this. So I hope the 115 people sitting here watching this, y'all doing all right.
Hang on. No, I disagree with this fundamentally, Pavel. I disagree with this. There are a lot of perfectly fine, normal trans people in the world, and they deserve respect and dignity. Not complying with their pronouns makes you look like an asshole. It's going to turn people off. It will win you nothing. It will win you no one. So no, I don't agree with this at all.
I hope y'all doing all right. Take what you need. Take what you need. This will be recorded. You don't have to take it all in. Just take pieces in. Take the rest in later. Well, let's go to the next question. And Jacqueline, I would love if you could start with this one. But so it's perfect segue. Melanie was kind of talking about the awareness around us. And so I'm really excited to think about like self-awareness and the impact that self-awareness and understanding of self, how important those components are for sex education.
Did someone just go to the bathroom?
These are also very...
Did anyone hear that? I really feel like someone just went to the bathroom and flushed the toilet in the background. Maybe I just heard it because I'm wearing these headphones and I can hear faint sounds in these headphones that sometimes don't come through. Oh, good. This is Glisten, Scott. Their board of directors. Some of the places these people work would not surprise you. Oh, great. Great. Excellent. Okay. I'm pretty sure I just heard someone go to the bathroom, though. Hang on. I just want to rewind that real quick and listen again.
About like self-awareness and the impact that self-awareness and understanding of self, and how important those components are for sex education.
Yes, there is definitely a toilet flush in this video.
And so
yes, there is. That's
these
funny.
are also very important aspects of our mental health and our overall
That was
overall
definitely
wellness.
a toilet flush.
So I was wondering if you could speak to what are the challenges and barriers that some young people navigate when they're unable to
Again, I can hear sounds that are faint on these
gender and
headphones.
sexual orientation.
Yeah,
or their
James
identities
Jones heard
in
it.
general,
Yeah,
in a
you
way
did,
that
James Jones. I'm not making shit
in a
up.
way that they understand it. I'm especially interested in discussing how the pandemic has shifted these barriers and or the perception of those barriers. So another loaded question. We like loaded questions.
Yes, I'll take it. I'll take it bit by bit, and I think I'll just start by talking about the barriers that a lot of API people, young people, face. When trying to express their gender and their sexual orientation. 90% of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States are either immigrants or children of immigrants. So that means 90% of them are likely straddling two different cultures in their household and growing up with different cultures, one of which is likely maybe even worse than the United States is on acceptance and inclusion of LGBTQ identity and sexuality. And when you're living with parents
because the United States is pretty good on it.
People here do understand that feeling. It's not pretty. And in a lot of Asian cultures, the whole idea of sexual health and sexuality, it's not a thing. It is the opposite of what you would call sex positive. Growing up, I didn't even know what a gynecologist was until like college.
Hang on. This is a side note. Brooklyn Way says her bookshelves look Danish modern and checking out the scenery. Those have got to be fake, but she has color coded her bookshelf. Those have got to be fake. I'm sorry. Where do you get that many pink books? or orange books or green books or blue books. And they're all like the same. Well, these orange ones are definitely all she those are fake. I'm sorry. This is like this she ordered this off the internet. Those are empty books. I'm calling it now.
Maybe after college, and people are like, you should go to the gyno, and I was like, but I'm not having kids. I don't, that's not what I'm trying to do. I had no idea that that was a regular, non-shameful thing that people go to as a part of their health.
Is that something people do? Do they color code their books?
Is an incredibly taboo topic.
I have this crazy idea where I put my books by subject matter,
or you aren't. And I think things can be changing, but also when we're talking about conversations with parents about sexuality, imagine having to have a language barrier with your own parents, and those tough conversations get even tougher. Like, I don't know how to say sexuality or homophobia in Mandarin, and that's the language that I grew up with, and that's the language that I speak with my mother. And so you have to think about how all of these barriers factor into leading into a lot of repression.
All right, apparently that's a thing. Okay, I stand corrected.
It can be growing up in those environments.
Apparently it's real.
The other thing is that mental health, in addition to sexual health and sexuality not being a thing, mental health is also not a thing in a lot of Asian cultures. It's not an accepted concept. A lot of I mentioned our immigrant heavy background, and how a lot of immigrants are just like, oh, what do you mean you're depressed? Like, just work harder. It's the immigrant mindset of, just work harder, and we find this is a survival tactic. You just have to get through it. And if you don't, then you're weak. And that's kind of, again, another very binary concept of mental health that many AAPI young people grow up with. And as a result, Asians don't seek resources for this, much less Asian young people. Asians are the least likely of any racial group to seek mental health.
I don't have time for Netflix. I watch this shit all the time. You're welcome.
As an adult.
I'm kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding. I do watch this shit all the time, and I don't have time for Netflix. But
as a young person,
I'm not mad about it. I do it to myself.
A lot of these emotions, and as an adult, 43.9% of Asian American adults who experience major depressive episodes receive treatment, compared to 68.5% of white adults. And so you can see how that factors into your mental health later on in life. And so, I can go on and on about my personal experiences and what it's like for many other API young people. But the answer to your question is what happens when you have all these barriers. It's not pretty, and it definitely has an effect on your mental health as an adult, and having to deal with a lot of cultural barriers later on as well. And I didn't answer your question about the pandemic.
You two. I'm here taking this in, so just add. You took me to a place.
Everything is exacerbated with the pandemic, right? I think we're seeing that in so many other places, and everything I just said is just exacerbated even more. You're living with parents who might be unaccepting of yourself and your identity, the core of who you are, and you're not able to go to school and be with friends who might actually understand you. In a lot of Asian cultures, and I don't want to stereotype, because this isn't the experience of many people growing up in API families, but the idea that the youth really need to step up and help provide for their families in times of crisis is very strong. And so for a lot of families who are going through tough times right now, that's an additional pressure on API young people in their households. And then, I'd be remiss not to mention the harassment and violence against APIs that's seen a spike in the last year, 68% of which were reported by women, and women are 2 times more likely to report that. And
why isn't she going to mention? She's so concerned about the violence against Asian people. Remember, this was back in the day when Asian people were more towards the top of the oppression hierarchy rather than the bottom. But I'm curious, this is a pop quiz for the chat. Do you guys know why she is not going to say that the greatest percentage of violence against Asian people comes from Black people. She just pointed out that it targets women. Why won't she say that most of the violence against Asian people comes from Black people? And that's reported by the FBI. I'm not making that up. Does anyone want to take a guess? She'll be banished. Why would she be banished? Why would she be banished for pointing out that, according to the FBI, the greatest percentage of violence against Asian people comes from Black people? Why would she be banished? Exactly, Reagan. She won't say it because Black people are higher in the oppression hierarchy. Exactly. Black people are higher on the oppression scale. Exactly. Exactly. You cannot accuse, if you like, there is no group that can say that Black people are racist against them, because Black people are at the top of the oppression hierarchy. Therefore, they have more oppression than any other groups. Therefore, according to the woke left, Black people can't be racist towards anyone. So they will never, ever, ever say it.
We don't have that that data disaggregated by sexual orientation and gender identity, but I think we know what it would look like if we did. And that combined harassment that we see on so many intersectional fronts. So that's what I'll say about that.
She just pivoted to intersectionality.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Jacqueline. Especially that reminder of what language and the impact that language has, and family culture, and your environmental culture, and just all the different things that play into that experience. And so I appreciate you sharing those personal experiences and those other vulnerable pieces. So thank you. Is there anything that folks want to add to that one?
Folks, FOLX.
Sure, I'll chime in, but I really appreciate what you said, Jacqueline.
Yeah.
So, the thing about it, right, is that like what young people need is information that is culturally responsive. At GLSEN, we use inclusive curriculum.
What's culturally responsive code word for?
And like, so why is inclusive curriculum important?
What is culturally responsive code word for?
Curriculum, or seeing yourself kind of in education. Not seeing, let me start the other way around. Not seeing yourself in education, right? It creates adverse mental health effects. Not learning about people like you leads youth to not understand themselves and their experiences.
Yes,
understand
critical race theory.
Hey, it's not just
culturally responsive is code for critical race theory. Well done, Reagan.
Fill in the blank. It's not just my
Reagan is like the star pupil. Reagan, if I could give you a gold star, I would.
My brain, right, that feels this way, right? There are shared experiences, and I come from a larger community of people. And when that happens, or frankly doesn't happen, it leads youth to not understanding themselves and their experiences. This leads youth to feeling confused and alone, and not feeling good about yourself, right? Leads to risky behavior and risk taking. Not keeping yourself safe, not understanding how to keep yourself safe, and not feeling like you are worth keeping safe, right? I really appreciate your point, Jacqueline, about language. And while this is not about like, what is the word in this other language for this, but thinking about what education does is creating language for young people to understand the world. When we don't give them that language, right? When we don't help pass on that information, how are folks really supposed to name what they are experiencing and understand it? And so, hey, there are wonderful things that happen when you see yourself in the curriculum. You get to learn about yourself. You get to see that you aren't alone. You get to see what people have done before, what they have tried, what has failed, what has worked. You get to see that you're part of a legacy, you're part of a community, and you get to understand yourself in a broader context. So all this to say that like the point of how we help young people understand themselves is by helping them understand themselves. Like, it's like the thing I hated hearing when I was a young person is like, ain't nothing new under the sun. It's like, okay, that is like low-key true. Don't tell 10-year-old Melanie that, and don't tell 17-year-old Melanie that. But the tea is that, okay, like we get to be different adults. We get to be different facilitators of and guides and path clearers for these young people. Let us do it, and let's not lie to them. Like let's actually set them up for success. I keep going back to, what do we owe these kids? and we owe them everything. And the least that we can do is give them the truth. And that's what we should be doing.
I really love that, Melanie. Andrew, if I can jump in for 5 seconds, which is to build off we owe them truth, and yet what is happening when these barriers come into play is that we tell them that they're, when they don't see themselves, right, they feel that loneliness, and they trust senses and systems that tell them that they don't actually exist, right? So I identify as bisexual, right? From within my own community, I am constant.
Is there any reality in which this they has sex with cisgendered women? Is there any reality in which this they has sex with cisgendered women? I'm not talking about trans women who probably haven't had bottom surgery. No. I'm sorry. No. There is no reality in which this person, they, have had sex with cis women. There is no reality in which that has happened. No. I don't believe it. I want fucking receipts. I'm not saying I want to see this, because I do not want to see this. I'm not saying that, but I would need photographic or video evidence to believe that to be true. I don't want to see it. I don't think it exists. But no, that's not no.
Told that I'm not actually who I say I am, right? If you're a young person,
yes, I'm
you're
denying your
hearing that your parents
bisexuality.
are
I
asking
am.
you if it's a phase, if this is the barrier is the erasure, the like, no, not really, right? I love Jacqueline, you mentioning not knowing the words for some of these things, because again, that's this exact point. Like we don't talk about it because it doesn't exist. And that conversion therapy, as we all know, is devastatingly bad for young people. And the opposite of it, the affirmative healthcare, the affirmative therapy, right, is inaccessible. We know this, like 54% of the LGBTQ youth who wanted mental health care this year could not access it. That more than half. Like if only Timmy gets healthcare but Tommy doesn't, right? Like that is setting Tommy up for the opportunity of conversion therapy being the only access point, of a erasure type of framework being the only access point to any objective spaces.
Bot, I swear to God, if you DM me what you find and I don't want to see it, I'm going to be mad. I don't want to see it, bot. Don't show me the porn. I don't care. Oh my God. Exactly. There is no doubt in my mind that he has sex with trans women who have not had bottom surgery. God fucking damn it. There is no doubt in my mind that they have had sex with trans women who have not had bottom surgery. No doubt in my mind. Trans women are women. Fine. Whatever. There is not a cisgendered woman in this world. This is a lack of options. I'm sorry. No. Cisgendered straight women are not no.
And it's not objective. It's not truth. So I didn't want to pull us too far away from it, but I think one of the barriers of that silence to build off of the great
Vampire King Darkness is now the king of the chat. Vampire King Darkness is king of the chat for the rest of the day. Vampire King Darkness can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. I have blessed you with king of the chat status. That's hilarious. That's fucking Okay. Do any of you watch River on you? Okay, River talks about royal things. And there was an episode I saw, and River is very gay. He is a very gay man that dresses actually a lot like Sam here. He wears, I think he wears these beautiful clothes and he has jewels and he gossips about royal stuff and he's awesome and he's one of my favorite channels. A couple of months ago, River did an episode about a rumor that Prince William enjoys pegging. And in that episode, he explained what pegging was. And he did as though he was like explaining it to like the queen. And it was like the best fucking thing I have ever seen before. It was amazing. If you did not see that episode, you need to go back and watch it because it was hilarious. It was hilarious. And he was like, he was so proper about the way that he explained. It was like he was explaining it to a group of like older grandmas that had no idea what pegging was and they needed to have it spelled out for them by a gay man. It was so proper. Oh my God, I might go back and watch that again. It was hilarious. He did amazing. If you like royal stuff, you should subscribe to River. He's awesome.
Greatness of what Jacqueline and Melanie is saying is that the opposite of it is also inaccessible. So there's barriers of getting the truth, and then there is, supersize me availability of the lies.
Yeah, and I appreciate the notion also around like, I often say I can't be me if I don't see me. So if you don't see even the possibility of yourself, see folks that share similar experiences, identities, looks, it's a lot harder to imagine what it could be like. Before we shift from this question, I do want to also mention that, sitting in the pandemic, for some young people, being at home and not in the school environment has been so much better.
Don't do
right?
it. Don't Google
Especially
pegging.
for some like neurodivergent
Sid,
young people.
Judy, don't Google
and
it.
just
Don't
maybe
do
folks that they just don't learn in that kind of environment. And so
No.
As we're thinking that shifting back to the schools is going to improve some young people's mental health, it's really going to maybe impact or create challenges for others who were thriving during school at home or school away from the standard school environment. So I also want us to make sure to think about those young people as well. Okay, so we are going to jump into the next question. Keep moving. I am watching the Q&As that are coming in, so please feel free to keep throwing those our way. So at SECUS, we shared the belief of providing young people with medically accurate and age-appropriate information about their reproductive and sexual health. As we challenge ourselves to push even further and beyond that, what is the impact that culturally responsive sex education, affirming school and home environments, and overall affirming people have on a young person's mental wellness? Another loaded question. Melanie, start us off.
I can jump in. So, here's the thing, is that intersectionality is important, right? So our young people are just like the rest of us. They are in
I told you not to
right?
Google
that have
it.
many parts of themselves. And so if you are teaching
warned
me
all
something,
you not to Google it,
Melanie,
okay?
something about Black history, that's lit. Also teach me something about what women have done. Teach me something about what queers have done. Teach me something about what non-binary people have done. Teach me all about all of me, right? And so this is particularly important when we're talking about sex education. We're thinking about it's not only important to include LGBTQ plus young people in that story, it's important to talk about folks in the disability community. It's important to talk about folks and people of color and BIPOC communities. It's important to talk about folks who are gender diverse, right? The beauty beyond the binary of our bodies. That's a lot of B's. Sorry for that alliteration, right? But like we understand. Sorry, just to say this side point, right? We understand that in nature binaries don't exist, right? And so why would they exist in our own bodies? And so when we are pushing young people into systems that are meant to educate them, why not educate them about the reality of what is true, and the complexity and the beauty in that complexity and diversity? Young people should be able to understand, learn about, and express their gender in a way that they can understand, right? Negative and horrible should not be the norm, right? When people think about their bodies, when they think about what their bodies do, when they understand what's happening around them. And then the
No,
other thing I'd be remiss to say, remiss not to
don't
say,
Google
particularly when we're
that.
talking about schools, is that policing happens, right? This is like cultural policing, but also policing happens in schools, right? And we know that there's disproportionate and differential discipline, and disproportionate and differential just negative impacts that happen on young people, so young people of color, like by themselves, like LGBTQ plus young people by themselves, people with disabilities by themselves, just as that identity, and young people experiencing homelessness by themselves, right? And so, but we also know that young people.
Kay says, these people should be nowhere near children. Ew. Well, I think my chat might actually be worse than. Oh my God. No one Google any terms or phrases you don't recognize in the chat right now. I am warning you. All right, guys, mount that like button if you're enjoying. Actually, you know what? It's time for another beer. Which beer should I drink? Hang on, I'm going to do a poll. I don't know. I don't actually have an opinion on this. I have 3 beers left. Which beer? To break this up and to get this out of sexual related topics. I have the pumpkin chocolate Mexican stout. Pumpkin Mexican chocolate. I have the chocolate milk. And I have the cheesecake beer. Which beer should I drink next, guys? Polls in the chat right now. Mount that like button while we're waiting. We do happy hour on Fridays at 5 p.m. every Friday on my second channel, youtube.com/activelyunwoke. We are also streaming on Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, Getter, other places as well. I hope you guys will join me for Socialism Saturday tomorrow on my main channel later in the day, like 6, 7 o'clock. We can keep it loose. Socialists probably don't own clocks. They probably consider it to be like a tool of oppression or some such shit. Let's see. Ooh, cheesecake is winning resoundingly. The cheesecake is an imperial sour. That means it's very high alcohol content. So, if I drink the cheesecake beer, I just want to set some expectations. I can't be responsible for any words that might come out of my mouth if I drink that cheesecake beer. Okay? Closing the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cheesecake beer it is. Hang on. Not that one. This one. All right. For those who came late, this is called Cheesecake Wishes and Bugatti Dreams. It is by Barreled Souls Brewing Company in Saco, Maine. It is 10.8% as compared to, okay, normal beers are half the alcohol content of this beer. And it is an imperial sour with cherry and cheesecake. It is basically a New York style cheesecake in a can. We're going to see how this goes. Yeah, the Vampire King Darkness can say and do whatever Vampire King Darkness wants to do. They are the king of the chat. Oh my god. As soon as I cracked it open, I got a waft of cherries. It smells like cherry. Like I'm like probably a foot and a half away from I can smell it from here. It's very cherry. Oh my guys. Oh my, look at how rich and beautiful. It's like a black cherry. Melissa, I know this sounds like a good idea, but I promise you it's not. I rarely mix the substances. Okay. Let's see. That does not taste like it's 10.8% alcohol. I'll tell you that right now. I don't get a lot of it's very thick. But I don't get a lot of cheesecake. I get more cherry. This is what we're going to call a sipping beer. This is a sipping beer. Cheers, everyone. Happy Friday. All right, let's continue. We're about halfway through.
Are not just one thing, right? So when you
Oh.
are young,
What's the name of that again, Gayla? It is by Barreled Souls Brewing in Saco, Maine, and it is called Cheesecake Wishes and Bugatti Dreams.
and LGBTQ plus and BIPOC and a person with a disability and maybe experiencing some homelessness, right? You are in the crosshairs of and the lack of safety in schools, right? So as we're talking about culturally responsive sex education and affirming school and home environments, we have to think about all of our young people and not only how we have to make sure that we are in our education not policing people's understanding of themselves and their gender and sexual identity. We also have to figure out how
All
to not
hail
actually
King
police these young
Vampire,
people
king of the
as they
chat for
are
the day.
going about their lives and in a place that is supposed to be affirming and enabling their education. I'll stop there.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. She said woke, something, enabling, affirming.
And I love this discussion
queer,
that we're
something.
having here about how sex education is also about, learning our bodies, how to be able to talk about what's happening to our bodies, whether that's policing of our bodies, whether that's things that we're experiencing with our sexuality, things that we're experiencing with our gender. Like, I'm just really appreciating pulling in these different dynamics of really thinking about how all of that is encompassed in sex education. With this question, I'm going to add in another element because once again, I love complex questions. But thinking about this question and adding on one of the questions that we got from our attendees is, if this is, this is the focus, this is the direction we're wanting to go, how do we advocate for it? How do we advocate for it, especially in places where there's maybe policies or viewpoints that, things shifted, viewpoints and policies that are, maybe only an abstinence only education or viewpoint. So what does it look like to also advocate for?
They're like, and by the way, I don't actually agree with abstinence only education. I think that's stupid, and I think it's really, really naive to think that teenagers aren't going to have sex. I think it ill-equips them for, like, using condoms or things that can prevent unwanted pregnancies. So I don't agree with abstinence only education at all. But I just like the fact that he phrases, like, how do we deal with these crazy people who want to teach kids don't have sex? I'm not saying I think you should teach them, like, like it's a sexual free-for-all. I'm just saying the kids need to learn how to use condoms, and that would prevent unwanted pregnancy.
For this, culturally responsive, age appropriate, medically accurate sex education as well.
Jackie, do you want me to start? I have a thought on it, but I also want to make sure to give you space if I know we're playing like back and forth.
He's centering women of color. That's what he's doing. He's centering the voices of women of color.
Super honesty moment, Andrew. Like, this, turn on the cameras, like, ready to go for paparazzi.
Uh-oh.
This is probably one of the very first times that Trevor Project is really in an event talking about sex education. We don't do it. I'm doing it because I'm a big fan of y'all's, and at some point, Trevor Project was silly and they hired an advocate who advocated that we start to work on some of these issues, because I think the advocacy has to both be internal and external. That's the connection to this work. When you talk about beyond abstinence only, I think it's about knowing where people are, right? I am not an expert in personally, right, in sex education, which means that I actively seek out education and opportunities to learn how to make this a conversation that is more accessible. I am a raised Southern Baptist. I still preach in sermons in a church, and for me, openly talking about those.
He preaches in sermons in a church. Who believes this? In a Southern Baptist church? No, straight lie. Don't believe it. Things that didn't happen. Does anyone believe? Excuse me. Does anyone believe that this guy still to this day preaches in sermons in a Southern Baptist church? No. Video or it didn't happen, Sam.
Experiences, my faith, right, gets me into hot water, right? It's this uncomfortable conversation with parts of my community. The same thing can be said for sex ed. So it's leaning into the uncomfortable and saying, we're not all going to have the same experience. On Sunday morning, I will be in a pew in a Baptist church. Someone else may be, in a mosque.
Hang on. I don't know how true this is, but I'm looking over on Rockfin Billiam. Billiam on Rockfin is saying Sam Brinton avidly supports bestiality. He's also into something called puppy play that entails two people, one being the master and the other acting as a puppy in bondage, dressed as a dog, acting like a dog. I don't know how true any of that is. I don't want anyone to Google that. I mean, do it if you want to. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. But if you Google that, the consequences are on you.
Another person may be in a cathedral, and many will be in no room other than maybe is football. No, football's probably not set Sunday morning, right? It's probably later. I don't know. At some point, there's some insert sports analogy.
That's a rumor,
right?
I don't know if it's true.
But all of us are believing and wanting to believe that we are bettering ourselves and bettering those around us, right? We're not trying to make the people around us feel uncomfortable, but talking about that could be a little bit uncomfortable for some folks. So I think that is how you advocate in this space, right? Trevor Project is not we trust Seekis, right? Like we're Seekis fans, we're Seekis stans, I guess we'll call it, right? And in what we know though is that when a young person finds
please tell me there's not a sex tape of that. Please tell me there's not a sex tape of that.
That is a 35%
I don't know if I can live in this world anymore if there is.
Of suicide. So what does non-abstinence only sex education look like? It literally means like saving someone's life, because we were willing to have a tougher conversation. It was saying
if we teach abstinence, we are literally killing people. And again, I'm not in favor of abstinence only education at all in any way. I think that people need to be taught how condoms work, like really badly. But I mean, abstinence is a choice, man. Some people don't have sex until later in life. It's just the way it goes. There's no shame in that. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. You might miss out on a lot of fun in college, and I'm not going to say anything more about that right now. But to say that abstinence only education is literally killing people is a wee bit of an exaggeration. For someone who claims to be a nuclear engineer, I don't like these types of exaggerations coming from someone who claims to be a nuclear engineer and is currently getting paid with my tax dollars to be a nuclear engineer for the federal government in the Biden administration.
Recognize that these words have power. That's both the Trevor story and my story in this advocacy is the it's not always easy we're a movement of complexity. We're a movement where we can't all be all things.
Oh, good.
But we can start.
Good.
Right?
That makes me
Trevor
feel
Project
great.
is having one panel with Sikas and trying to say, you know what? We stand with you. We want to grow. We want to learn. We want to do. And that is what I think what we need more of in advocacy on sex education is we need people on the edges to say, I'll try it. I will listen to your arguments. I will stand with you and make the same arguments for affirmation. I will.
To be really clear, guys, because some of you seem to be misunderstanding me in the chat, I'm not saying that abstinence shouldn't be taught. I think all options should be. Well, I don't actually think sex should be taught in schools. I think they should teach them how to prevent pregnancy in schools, but I don't think they should be teaching them actually like about the act and like the different. I don't think they should be teaching about that. But like, I'm in favor of abstinence being taught as like, you know, if you have sex, you could, you know, have a kid. Even if you use protection, it's just the way it goes. I'm just saying that I want kids learning how to use condoms.
Build on what I know. That's how I see us moving forward in this area.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
what I gotta
don't
say to
DM me that bot. I don't want to see it.
Jacqueline.
I had a much more straightforward answer for advocating for inclusive sex education. I mean, mine was just in my head. The first thing that popped up was like, just go find your legislators and hand the mic over to young people and let's hear about their experiences and why abstinence only is so harmful, and start organizing, start building coalitions with groups on the ground, start talking to people, start going to places that people don't usually talk about these things. It can't just be in the schools. It's got to be in churches and family circles. Sorry, cat.
Don't show Sam the cat. Don't show him the animal. Don't
really
do it. He might get
really
ideas.
have to build a movement on this, and we really have to keep the drumbeat up. We really have to talk about.
I can't believe I just said that.
Sex education as a crucial part of health and healthcare and reproductive health care and just education more broadly. So I had a very simple answer to that question. I also want to go back to something that Melanie mentioned earlier in this question, which was about intersectionality and and teaching that in schools. And I think eventually we want to get to a point where that's not something that we have to teach. It's something that people know, right? But I will point out that
know and believe.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, we need to brainwash them.
I think, and again, I'll bring
hide
up,
your dogs, guys.
The tragedy in Atlanta that happened last week. It wasn't
I knew it. I knew it was around that time.
Racial violence. It was also, sexually motivated violence.
It was completely sexually motivated.
And you can't separate the two. And we're failing our young people of color. And if we're setting them up to believe that the harassment and the violence that they experience is one or the other. Queer young people of color experience such higher rates of harassment due to both their race and ethnicity and their sexuality. For Asian Americans, that's 49% of queer young people experience that kind of harassment. And that's it's very much across the board for other people.
You guys are going to fucking make me Google this dog picture, and I don't like
54% of Latinx queer young people and 65% of Indigenous LGBTQ youth. Those are terrible numbers. And so just the ability of, if we can have sex education, start teaching our people at a very young age about, what is consent, what are healthy relationships, what is not being an asshole, honestly. And
if I have to see it, you all have to see it. All right? If I have to see it, you all have to see it. What the fuck is this? I feel like, he has a fucking, what the fuck? I am going to well, I'm going to double down on my original I you know what, Sid? I was thinking that he didn't strike me as the dom. He didn't strike me as the top. I'm just gonna double down on my notion that this they has never had sex with a cisgendered woman. I'm sorry. No, that has not happened. No, in no fucking universe has that happened. I hate everyone who made me want to Google that. I hate you all. You're all banished. I'm just kidding. You're not banished. I would have no one else if I banished you. Oh my god. I would have to go turn myself over to the Horde if I banished you. You know, you were all here at 7 o'clock on Friday night. You guys voted for me to drink the Imperial Sour. It's really your fault. Vampire King Darkness, holding down your spot as king of the chat. I appreciate that. All right, let's continue.
You know, setting up a safe environment for schools, you know, that puts us in a much better place for young people to actually feel confidence and assurance in reporting harassment and assault and not gaslighting themselves, not feeling gaslit by adults who don't believe that these things happen, so that when we get to adults and then, you know, people are gaslighting us again, that, you know, things like, you know, attacks on our community don't happen because of race or sexual violence, you know, that we believe in ourselves, and that, you know, that is a true experience of people in our community.
Snaps across the board. My goodness. Melanie, were you gonna throw something out?
Yeah, and I'll be quick.
No, you could.
And I would just say that you know, our power is collective, right? Like, how do we change things? Like, we make.
She is a legitimate socialist. I need to look her up.
The sun is in my sign, and so I'm like, actually, everything is possible. But
oh, she's an Aries. That's why. Okay, I got it.
Right?
She's definitely an Aries.
When we believe that we're alone, they win. When we believe that we can't actually change things, they win when we think that there's nothing that we can do. Right?
Glad to help, bot.
They win because we believe the lies, right, that they tell us.
If the queen thought I was grooming before, I've groomed a whole audience now.
And we decide what needs to happen, we can actually make it happen, right? And so I'll just say,
can I just say, I would kill for there to be a stream with the queen and Mike Harlow, in which Mike Harlow explains pegging and puppy play to the queen. I would pay fucking money for that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't need to worry about it. I would pay fucking money for that.
Like, broad at that level.
Oh, she's the executive director.
Like,
oh,
how
good.
Do we change things?
Oh,
we
good.
Advocate. We
that's
make the people
just
who
fucking
we
great.
have elected to do a job do their job, and then we go tell the people that weren't elected, that were maybe chosen or appointed, hey, you need to do your job. Here's what the law says. Right? There's amazing work that Trevor is doing. There's amazing work that that other organizations are doing to shift policy, right? To make sure that people have to do, you know, to say, here are the rules of the road. And so part of what we are able to do at the policy level, right, is to set those rules and expectations. And then part of what we're able to do at the community level, at the mobilization level, at the activation level, is to say, no, hey, here are the rules that we helped to set. You now have to do them. So again, they win when we believe that we don't have the power to make them do what we want. And, you know, in the spirit of all the areas around and whoever we're, they have to do what we want them to do. They have to do what we tell them to do. Because we've organized and we've put the rules in place.
I'm such a firm believer in community and people. We as people cause a lot of harm, but we also do a lot of good. And I think that if we believe in people and we believe in community, it can really work itself out. So I don't believe appreciate in people that the collective, or community. The powers in the collective. It's so true.
I don't believe in either of those things.
So we've been throwing out a lot of amazing like facts and
In
data
fact, my
and things
faith in
like
people
that.
is
I
rapidly
know that
deteriorating, if we're
Trevor
honest about it.
Project and Glisten
I think we're
both
pretty
have
fucked.
access to all sorts of reports and data and research and all the things online. Jacqueline, does NAPOF have that easily accessible on the website too with some of the research that you've been throwing out? Or
I
what is
actually
the
just found
best
the
way?
link, so I'm gonna drop it in the chat.
So you all are going to get all of those amazing facts dropped into the chat as well. So hopefully we can
Amazing
still access that.
facts.
I feel like somebody threw a question in the regular chat. Gabby, if that's the case, oh wait, what are unique challenges, advantages, and possibilities do you see in sex education online and more tech involvement having for youth? Does anybody have any thoughts on that one? Oh, see, now all the questions are coming in. Just the impact of sex education online, more tech involvement for youth.
I mean, what I would say is that, you know, technology is a tool, and tools can be helpful or harmful. Tools, you might know how to use some tools, you might not know how to use some tools, others, right? What we've seen and how it sent us all is okay, then you'll be okay, right?
Mhm.
If your home is not okay, you won't be okay. If your home does not have access to to reliable internet, you might see my internet glitching right now. Or if your home is not a safe place where you are affirmed or seen, or
They're
made
always
more
trying to convince
whole,
these
right?
kids that their homes aren't safe.
Home worsens things versus making them better. So there are lots of possibilities that are opened up when young people are able to access sex education online, but that depends on their ability to access it, them knowing about it, and them having the resources around them to help them make sense of what they're seeing, right? What we need is
wait, so they're trying to obfuscate, hang on, I just figured this out. I don't know why this didn't occur to me earlier. They're trying to completely obfuscate the schools and the parents, right? By just going right to the students, being like, hey kids, do you want to learn about sex? That thing that you're forbidden to learn about or watch like by your parent? We'll teach you about sex. They're trying to obfuscate everyone, right? Wow. These people are like diabolical.
Is equality of opportunity and of access, which is what we don't have, right? So yes, more of the good things, but let us not think that just because there is online access that everyone will actually be able to see it, make sense of it, etc. Right? And if you're able to do it at home, great if your home is safe, but actually maybe not if your home is not a good place.
Yeah, Jan, that
and I also think
sounds
as
like
educators,
grooming.
we have to be
Sounds
willing
like
to
grooming.
learn too.
It
So we
does.
know that we've been thrown this this new world where a lot of things are having to be navigated online, and it's uncomfortable for us, and we can't be afraid to also turn some of these questions back to young people.
Kind of sounds like
It's
grooming.
like, how would you like to learn about sex education online? Like, what would that look like, right? Even that question in itself, I'm engaging young people in that, hearing their ideas.
All right, guys, I need to step away for like a second because I've had too much to drink. I will be back in 2 minutes. I'm just gonna take myself out. I'm gonna play the video. You guys are in charge, okay? Let me know if they say anything of importance. I'm trusting you guys to keep track of it. I'm just gonna play it. I'm gonna step away. I'm gonna be back in like 2 minutes or less. I'm super fast, but I'll see you guys in a minute. All right.
Ideas also creates a conversation and an opportunity to openly talk about sex education. So I would also turn that question to young people. So we aren't going to get to all of these questions because they just came in 3 minutes for the end. I think, right? Because what time are we done? Are we done at 7 or 8? I don't even know. I need help, Gabby. I don't know what time we're supposed to be done. I have one last question too. But why I wait for Gabby for a second. If we could quickly, real quick, speak to how can we encourage mental health advocates to move beyond thinking only of clinical services or hotlines and support other approaches like sex education as a way to improve mental health or wellness.
Well,
Sam, you want to take that
yeah, well, I'll take the one that says we don't need a lifeline, which is little antithetical to my
Okay,
work. So
I'm back. No more screwing
I'll
around. No
respond to
more
it.
screwing around. No more screwing around in the chat, okay? Did I miss anything? I told you I was quick. I wanted to catch you guys in the act. I ran my hands under the sink, okay? I told you I was quick. All right, I was going back through the chat. No, my sound was off the screen, Bob. My bathroom has a door, you know. I actually closed the door. Unlike some people. All right. All right. Well, you know, it was a quick wash. All right.
No, I think the question is coming from a really great place, which is it is not enough. It is not enough to be an intervener. We need to be a preventer. I need to be very clear. I think that one of the ways that we have inclusive sex ed also needs to be about having inclusive mental health policies. Little known fact, 1 in 3 schools across America have no mention of the word suicide in any of their policies. Teachers are Googling the word suicide when a student starts to talk about it because they don't know what to do, right? This is something that should be a failing grade. It is a failing grade for our country, and yet most people aren't talking about it. So those policies include 3 major parts. So to answer your question of like going beyond the crisis line, yes, prevention is critical, right? Knowing what I like to call this prevention is knowing what a symptom looks like, right? If I'm sneezing, right, is that allergies or COVID, right? Like I need to know these things. And prevention is recognizing differentials and recognizing needs. Then there's intervention. Let's be clear. There's going to be young people who do not see them, we have had many a call or chat to our lifeline of sex ed happened today and nothing. I felt that people laughed, made jokes about identities that I'm holding, right? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Things
about
that didn't
right?
happen.
Like, so we understand that in
I'm
those
sorry.
moments when crisis happens,
Sam
we need
lying
an intervention
again.
system. That's your doctor visit, right? So are you sneezing? What is it? Prevention. You need to go to the doctor needs to be there, but then you also need to know about that doctor's note after you went to school, the return, the postvention, the what is it like in the weeks and months after sex ed has happened, when, let's be very clear, conversations around this campus are anything but positive, right? They're disaffirming continuously now. You don't see a support system because your health education teacher maybe just said that.
Does Sam actually think that homophobia, is he actually making the argument that like real homophobia is rampant among today's high schools? Am I hearing this correctly? That high schools are only teaching about heterosexuals and that they're basically trying to engage in conversion therapy against anyone that's not heterosexual? Sam is kind of a psycho. Yeah, I don't, I'm stating an opinion. I could be wrong. I don't disagree with that assessment. I don't disagree with that assessment at all.
That, your identity doesn't exist. That's going to lead to a postvention problem. This idea of response, right? Like, what is that doctor's note that actually says, hey, I needed help, I got it, and here's how you can support me to continue to be successful. That is a continuum. It's a spectrum. So I think, if I remember your question correctly, Andrew, it's not necessarily that we don't need crisis lines. It's that we, as mental health organizations, as a mental health organization, I fight for the continuum. I fight for you to never be in crisis in the first place. And I fight for you that if you are in crisis, making sure.
Can we talk about the fact that Sam went from being like a vice president at the Trevor Project to being a nuclear engineer in Joe Biden's administration? Now, listen, I have a haphazard career. Lots of people have haphazard careers. I have bounced around. I did marketing in higher education for 10 years, and then I became an organizational psychologist. And I still do some organizational psychology today, but I also do this stuff with you guys I do activism around this, and I'm very blessed to have, you know, communities and supporters that pay a portion of my bills. So like I'm not opposed to people having multiple journeys in their careers, because that's just the way this works. Like I did marketing for a long time. I don't really do that anymore in the way that I did before. I don't do keynotes and facilitations and organizational psychology like I did before. I do other things. I didn't do this before and I do it now. Like people have steps in their career and it's fine. But it is a little confusing to me why a nuclear engineer would go and be the vice president for an advocacy organization and then return to being a nuclear engineer when working for the federal government. That's weird. That's weird. I'm suggesting that perhaps maybe the intervening years of advocacy work, and advocacy is obviously something that he's passionate about because he does it every effing day. Perhaps the advocacy is a bit distracting to being a nuclear engineer, and perhaps our federal government should just, I'm not advocating for him to get fired, but like maybe they should just think twice about employing someone in the position of a nuclear engineer when they came from being vice president of an advocacy organization for which I'm guessing they probably didn't do nuclear engineering. It just seems a little ill-considered to me. And there are many things that I expect that our federal government is going to be ill-considered about. But when it comes to like the disposal of nuclear waste, which is what his job is right now in the Biden administration, he is one of the people in charge of disposing of nuclear fucking waste. I don't think that that is something to be like flippant about. That just doesn't strike me as a good idea. Perhaps precision and focus should be, I don't know, the priority over advocacy. If you want to do advocacy, fine. But you need to find a way to make I found a way to make advocacy mesh with my organizational psychology work. I don't go out and do consulting. I don't go out and do keynotes anymore because I'm going to get canceled if I do them anyway. So I decided I'm going to do more background work. I'm going to do assessments. I'm going to do surveys. I'm going to do coaching. I'm going to do things I can kind of do like, you know, privately, because it has to mesh with this public thing that I'm doing. I don't know how you mesh being a nuclear engineer and advocacy. I don't know how you do that. It really does seem just a little bit irresponsible.
Sure that you can get support. And then I also fight that after the crisis is done, your support doesn't end. That is how we need to be talking about sex ed, mental health, anything that is awesome for our young ones.
100%. Yes. Also, sorry for my little panic. We have a little under 30 minutes still. We're doing all right. Everything's great. You know, and I think information is powerful. You kind of also went into you know, the second question, another question around like prevention education. So like I'll let people build on that if they want. But you know, I think knowledge is power. And you talking about how can we understand our experiences, being able to talk about our experiences as a way to maybe not need some of these mental health supports like hotlines or clinical services, right? Like if these conversations can just be a norm, if we can be able to express ourselves and talk about our experiences openly in all environments, then we may not need a lot of private environments to be able to navigate those conversations. So I think that's what I really pulled from what you were saying is like, what does it look like for us to normalize these experiences and be able to talk about them openly, whether that's an experience as a person of color, LGBTQ folks living with disability, and or just about not being okay, right? Experiencing depression, all those things. Then we will need less of some of these other services, because once again, back to Melanie, we hold the power, right? It's in the collective, it's in people, and we can take care and support our people if we're allowing those conversations to happen. So yes, to that, I'm here for it. Anything that folks wanted to add to that conversation, or even pulling in, talking about prevention education, and the role that plays in undoing or addressing stigmas and negative beliefs? People have any? I think you also kind of hit on some of that, Sam, in your response. So it was like a 2-for-1.
Yes, Sam, it was a 2-for-1. It was indeed a 2-for-1.
That. I want to be
God.
clear about one part, which is prevent. I love that you said it's about a communal experience, right?
We probably should. You're right, Brent.
Let's be clear. The reason that I'm connecting these worlds of mental health and sex ed, sorry for talking again. Sorry, but this is it's on my mind, it's on my heart. The reason I can connect it is that I'm comfortable talking about death. I do it on a day-to-day basis, and I try to prevent it, right? But I'm ready to talk about it. And Seekus is ready to talk about sex. But the problem is that we have communities that we are not preventative yet, because we can't bring ourselves to have the conversation in the first place. So that silencing leads to crisis lines. I would love to be out of a job. I am so ready for the day Trevor Project is no longer needed. Do not need that job security. I will go make my coin somewhere else, right? But until that day, we have to be starting the conversation with prevention. I just didn't want to make it sound like I believe that intervention is not necessary. It is super necessary right now, because we don't have the prevention systems in place that actually equalize and talk about the uncomfortable. Sorry.
And let me just add, because I think that's a great point. When we do that education and intervention, it has to be culturally responsive, right? It actually can't be,
intersectionality.
Barbecue Becky wouldn't recognize the symptoms, right, of a young BIPOC person who was in crisis because their view is shaped by white supremacy, right? You would not be able to see and intervene effectively or educate effectively a person with a disability if your lens is clouded by ableism, right? And pick any other identity, right? So there's a way in which, yes, all of what Sam said, and on top of that, it's around, we have to take seriously being able to see our young people for all of who they are, right? Schools are not just buildings, right? Schools are communities, right? Children are whole people, not just students, and not just students between whatever 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., right? We have to educate and support and see these young people in their entirety, in their wholeness, if we're going to be effective at educating them about anything, intervening when they are in crisis, and taking seriously their experiences.
I co-sign everything Melanie just said. And, thank you so much for bringing up cultural competency, 2-3 times now. It's something that we at NAPOP always talk about when we're talking about culturally competent healthcare and culturally competent sex education. And it's often tough for me to actually define what that is and what that looks like, because I've never seen it. At least not for me growing up in a public school in Texas. I don't know what culturally competent care looks like. So thank you for naming that.
Yes, and I will say the person that had asked the prevention question just added on a little more about folks that are receiving, absence only education. What is the recommendations for undoing that learning? And what I will say is back to that conversation of power and information, right? So once again, going back to, everybody navigates the experience of sexuality, every single person, right? So whether it's their experiences, no, I don't really want to talk about sexuality, they at least know that they don't want to talk about it. There are people that are trying to navigate it themselves. There are people that feel like they have a firm understanding. And for me, my approach is always to give information and allow people to do with that information how they feel like they can, right? You know, there is undoing, or there's just adding to it, right? Because abstinence is always an option, right? Like abstinence is a form of comprehensive sex education, 100%.
I actually appreciate
right?
that he said that. We need to give
And what
credit
we
where credit
know
is
is
due.
that
I appreciate
there
that he
are
said that.
other things as well. And so I, rather than an undoing, I very much see it as an adding to it, providing more information and opportunities to reflect internally and personally about how maybe I've navigated in my life at different points, right? So asking questions about like, when did you first know your gender? When did you first know your sexual orientation? Having people explore that and figuring out how they even got to that point is always helpful when trying to bring new information to people. I don't know if there's other people that want to add to that question, but I just thought I would add that piece. We also have a lot of great experts, I'm sure, on this call. So, I mean, the chat feature is still there too, if other folks feel like they want to add to that question. Next question. Y'all, we're really talking about some things tonight. Like for real, for real.
For real, for real. We're really talking about some things.
Everybody, like, I'm so funny. I always wanted like stars, like, you know, those star stickers that like I used to work in childcare, so I feel like I'm just like kicking with 4U right now, and that there are 107 people watching us. But
to work
those little star stickers
with
and it's like, oh,
childcare.
everybody's doing a good job. Like, I want to give you a star sticker, so I might just send y'all like star stickers.
Do you know how much I want one? Like,
Sam, I got you. Welcome
to the glittery lipped queer here. I'm like, I need the stickers.
I need the
stars.
I got you. And in the chat, Amy's with us on the star sticker. So, anyway, so back to this lovely panel.
They're definitely not
what are
groomers.
your most excited or
Definitely
hopeful?
not.
Oh, hold on. What are you most excited or hopeful about when it comes to our young people? What assets or strengths do you think young people bring, and how can we as adults use those assets to promote optimal health for all youth? Wow. That was like a beautiful question. I just want to put out there. So yeah. What are y'all's thoughts? Talk about how amazing our young people are. What are you excited about?
This feels so creepy. Does anyone else feel creeped out?
Bring them into advocacy spaces.
This feels so creepy.
I mean, just
and wrong. This is not studying and brave.
The way that they're able to talk about things and be so true to themselves, and just are so well versed in, you know, politics and advocacy already. Whenever I listen to young people speak, I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm like,
everyone shout their safe words.
You know, young people are so ahead of the game, and I think that's why we really need to hand them the mic and just let them do their thing. And I think adults have a lot to learn from young people in the way that they're so unapologetic and bold and outspoken. And I think that you know, I think a lot of my generation, older generation, has a lot to learn from that. And, you know, sometimes wanting to just be, you know, doing what's easy or doing what we think is possible. And I really, you know, we really just need to be turning to young people to do a lot of this work and supporting them in doing that work.
So I would say young people are lit. Like, what are the ways in which young people aren't lit? I dare you to give a good reason, one good thing that's not super lit about young people.
I will give a list of things that are not super lit about young people. Young people are fucking morons, and they are morons because the logic function of their brain has not yet developed, which is why we should absolutely not, in any way, be looking towards young people for guidance, because they literally don't understand in any way logic and reason. Their brain is not programmed for it yet. It's going to get programmed for it someday, not now. So no, I don't think young people are lit. Young people are stupid. Has she ever met a young person in her life? Do you guys want to give a list in the chat of stupid things that you did when you were a young person? Young people are lit. Are you kidding me? Young people are basically, they are the best thing that's ever happened. They are the hope for the future. And I don't know why I'm using my Katie Herzog voice for this, but you know, I mean, young people are just so amazing. I'm so in awe of all young people. Oh my God. They make life better. Probably not because I'm fucking them, because I'm definitely not fucking them. I wouldn't say that on the internet, but oh my God, young people are just amazing.
Here's what I would say to this question, which is that, you know, I think like the job of adults and like older folks and elders, right, is to help inform. Like, what can I do to help you be smarter than me, to get farther than I've gotten, and to think about the world even more expansively than I've been able to imagine in my wildest dreams, right? And so maybe I'm not exactly answering the question, but to me, it's the question. At the heart of the question is young people are lit and whole and perfect in themselves, right? And so
no,
part
they
of
are
our
not
work
perfect.
has
No,
to be about
wrong,
getting older
wrong
folks and
answer.
elders in a helpful position and then out of the way, right? Like, how can I be like, let me, and I'm not quite auntie age, I'm like at the verge of auntie age, but like, let me bring my little chair
What is auntie
and my little
age?
sippy cup and I will sit here and cheer you on, doll, right? It's like, you go on and let me rest my knees, right? Because I've been here and popping and locking it for a long time and I don't want to drop it anymore. Like I want to sit down. So the point here is that young people are whole.
Oh, she doesn't want to go to the club.
There is
Oh, I
nothing that we
understand.
need to do as adults to fix them. What we need to do is give them the information and maybe let them know what we've known, right? If we're drawing a map, it's like, here's the quicksand and here are the alligators. Go be great. You know what I mean? What do you need? You need a snack on your way? Let me help you out, right? So that might not be as comprehensive of an answer, because I think the answer, the list is just too long. There are all of the things that are perfect about young people.
Well,
and it really is about
exactly. No, young people are not perfect. As Jan is reminding us, they fucking ate Tide Pods, okay? Young people are not perfect. They eat things they shouldn't. They blow shit up. They sleep with people they shouldn't. Possibly conned into it by some of these people in some cases. Like, no. Bot sprayed a fire extinguisher at her school. Is bot perfect? They crash cards. They eat dog food. No, young people are not perfect. That is wrong.
how do we as elders, increasingly elders, right, in this movement, open doors, you know, kick open doors if we have to, bust down walls, and then get out of the way.
How do you follow up? What, Sam? They're perfect. Like, figure out something. Like I mean,
Good luck.
That's a great.
That's what I got.
Right? Like,
Yes, Sam, tell us what you want to do with young people.
I will controversially say, and Melanie and I are going to be besties. So I'm going to be besties with all of you, because again, we're just chatting, and there's 100 people watching us. But like, I don't necessarily agree that they're perfect. I will.
Sam,
I will
a rare
argue
moment
that,
of clarity. A rare moment of clarity.
Because of the thing I'm about to say. Their greatest asset is their super metabolism for growth. Like I am a huge TikTok person, not actually popular, but like love TikTok, right? And it is this short, succinct moment of learn, grow, learn, like experience. Like it's a dance that took them 8 hours to learn for 15 seconds of perfection, right? But that growth immediately just evolves into the next space. That is their greatest asset and the thing we need to support, right? I love the idea of if I can keep your attentions on something, you will solve this problem far greater than any adult will ever imagine it, right? Because you're thinking in 10x speed. I believe that comes with hurdles. The hurdle being, if I personally listen to all my podcasts at like 2x, right? Well, that's great. I get through my podcast, I like understand my stuff, but I'm also probably not quite like calming down. I'm probably basically like a little bit pushing myself and my body more than I need to, right? And for young people, I think that could be a moment of potential slight imperfection, which is the speed leads to sometimes moments of I was told by Auntie Melanie where the quicksand was, but I believed I could run so fast that it wouldn't actually pull me down.
I want to say something that might make people mad. Sam is making a good point. Now, he's doing it in the context of absolute insanity. And so the point might sound insane because he is not making it in the best way he could. And the context in which we are hearing the point is not ideal. But Sam is actually making a reasonable point, which is young people think that they are immune to the mistakes of adults, which is true, but it doesn't come across as true. And I understand why it doesn't come across as true, because of the context in which it is being presented. But a broken clock is right twice a day. And it's important for us to acknowledge when these people make good points, because it prevents us from becoming them. Okay?
I believe what we need to be doing is to say, okay, I sense that you're going to just, flash past this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some planks down here on the quicksand. Thank you for elders for telling us where they are. And now you can run across the quicksand at the speed you want to go. That is where I think I don't know if any of that metaphor actually worked now that I think about it. And I don't know if I remotely answered your question.
I don't think it was perfect, but it was okay. It was all right. It was like a 6 out of 10.
Their greatest asset is their speed and their potentiality for evolving and growth. They move and grow and learn faster than anything I can ever imagine, than any computer could ever keep up with. And their challenge in subsequent work, and that is what do we do to make sure that the world is ready for their speed?
Let me jump in because I'm going to add to what Sam said. And I would say that, let me couch what I'm about to say by saying young people are magic, but they're not magical, right? And I think that
they're
what
lit and now they're
happens is
magic.
that, yes, like able to metabolize and take in information, etc. And like, here's the Achilles heel, right? Folks will believe, as young people, you will believe what you are being told by people who have been around, who have seen more, who might be older, who love you, right? Who say they love you, right? Folks will believe what they hear. And so that also makes you more vulnerable, right? And so the thing is that the beauty of young people is that you are deeply resilient. And I think that the challenge, and here's what's not fair, and I say this from a place of experience. What is not fair is when you are asked to be resilient, when you actually shouldn't have to experience the pain or discomfort or injustice in the first place, right? There's such thing as being overly resilient.
Isn't,
and I think
there is not such a thing as being overly resilient. That is made up.
Is to be overly resilient.
No.
And that's not fair, right? And so
that is made up. That is
Sam,
not
I love
real.
That you picked up my quicksand metaphor, because as a person who grew up on cartoons, I have questions about, can you actually put planks over quicksand? Because how big is the quicksand? But the whole point is that
you
again,
can actually
like,
put planks over
but not magical.
Quicksand. You can.
And resilient, but not invulnerable, right? So what are the ways that we as adults, as educators, as organizational leaders, as movement leaders, can help to build containers where young people can come and try things and have safe to fail moments, right? Like where you can mess up. This is what was true for me. I was able to mess up and have somebody maybe grab me by the scruff of my neck and pull me out the quicksand and like, don't do this again, right? And go over there. But the point is that what none of us deserve is to have any one thing that we do define us forever, right? Any one thing that we
I actually agree
experience
with
define
that.
us forever. And so I wish that we didn't ask young
I
people
agree
to
with
be so
that. Carrie
resilient.
Smith
I wish
doesn't
we
agree with
didn't
that.
ask
Mike
them to
Harlow doesn't
spend
agree
their
with that.
magic on survival.
But I agree with
right?
that.
And I think that there is
Just threw their names out to
such a
cause
gift,
trouble.
right? Young people are such a gift.
Because God knows their horde is
Hmm.
watching right now.
Well, yes. Yeah, that's what I say when I have too much to actually say. I just say yes. Yes to all of that. So we have done it. We really only have one question left. There's one question in the Q&A, and that one is going to be answered in chat. So we'll get an answer to that one shortly. But I have one last question for you all. And it's really just continuing this conversation about young people. So my last question is, what message would you like to share with any young LGBTQ2S plus person, or a young BIPOC person, or young person living with a disability, and you know, young folks that may be watching this today? What would you like to share with them? You know, knowing that they may be seeing themselves reflected in a conversation or in one of our identities for the first time.
It's not done yet, guys. I'm not done. I got
Whoever
several
would like to
more
start.
sections.
I'll go before Melanie.
3 more sections to be exact.
Smart move. I don't know. You've had some moments, Jacqueline, tonight, so I don't know if any of y'all are safe, but yeah, go ahead.
I would like to say to all the young Asian American or Pacific Islander people out there who are watching, especially as you've had to experience the last week, what I can imagine is similar to the way that I have, is to not, like, everything that you experience is real and is yours. And everything that is harmful to you and that is unjust that's happened to you, it's not just all in your head. It is
No, Queen.
just, you know, don't
not.
gaslight yourself. Don't let other people gaslight you. Your
I'm horrible
experiences
sometimes.
are real. You know, you have the right to be happy and to be free and to be who you are and not let anybody take that away from you. I grew up, you know, always being made fun of for being Asian or receiving lots of racialized sexual harassment. And for a long time, I was like, this is just the way the world is, you know, and this is just how I'm supposed to live my life in this world. That's just how the world is going to treat me. And that never had to be the case. You know, I had a lot of unlearning to do about how wrong that was and how, you know, I had other support systems and people who would have helped me not think that way. And, you know, just a lot of gaslighting myself and being like, oh, is this real? And a lot of people, you know, a lot of microaggressions or people being like, oh no, that wasn't racist, or like, oh no, that wasn't because you're a woman.
Yes, she is very abused.
You know, whatever you experience is real, and let yourself feel
deeply,
that and
deeply abused.
speak out about that, and also find other people who look like you. I was very lucky that I had a strong Asian American community growing up, and, you know, kids in my classroom who looked like me, and we really stuck together. And that's really what got me through school. You know, that's really what got me through 12 years in a very WASPy public education system. So find those who are like you. Also, like all of my other classmates of color too, you know, we stuck together.
I want to amend what I said earlier. I said that none of these people are useful idiots. They're all true believers. I actually think that this woman is a useful idiot, or we're going to start calling them useful innocents, because useful, well, Sometimes I might call them useful innocents if I think they genuinely mean well. I think she's a useful idiot, though. I do. I think that she really doesn't understand. I think she seems like a genuinely nice woman. She's really not actually speaking like woke fully. I don't think she's as bad as the other ones. Maybe because she's Asian. I don't know. That was probably racist. Whatever.
You know, we say that now in a lot of advocacy spaces and activist spaces, but start young, you know, find the people who are like you and, you know, validate your own experiences.
I feel like it's double Dutch. You want to go, Sam? Or you just want me to go?
I'll
Sam,
let you go.
Sam is
I'll
always
take
going to
the-
defer
I'll take the
to
absolute
women
risk, which is trying to
of
follow
color.
you. So this is probably the stupidest decision I made today. But
Double Dutch. Double Dutch.
Yeah,
All
having to
right.
follow. I feel like having to follow both of them. Like that's a.
Good luck, everybody. All right. So here's what I would say to young people. You're not crazy. If like things feel wrong and off, it is that, and it's not you. You know, the adults in your life and the systems that you are made to go through to endure owe you better. You deserve better than what you're getting. And there are people who don't know you specifically, but know you generally, and who love you and are out here working to make this world better for you. And to the extent that you see those people doing that work, let them know you see them and give them pointers and feedback of like what they ought to be doing to do it better. At Glisten, and I know at Napoff, and I know at Trevor and many other places, we are here for you and we applaud you and what you are doing. There are lots of ways in which the reason I go to work every day is because I'm listening for what the next thing is that you all at the grassroots, in the schools, in your communities, in your homes are doing, the ways that y'all are queering up space, the ways in which you are demanding more and better. And so there are folks who are doing all this work, who are listening to you all, because you are the engines of change, and we're here for that. And then, you know, Auntie Mel wants to give you a little bit of advice, which is to trust your gut, right? If something feels off, it is off. If something feels good, it might be good. And
That is actually
so
good advice.
Gut, find your light, and find people who reflect your light back to you, and feed that. And you know, I have a number of friends who are artists, and they have a collective called the Trust Your Struggle Collective. And there's something I just love about that name, which is like trust your struggle, trust your journey, ask for help when you need it, and you know, find your light.
And find your light, guys. Just find your light. That's all that's
beautiful
required. Just
friend.
find your light.
Beautiful, beautiful friend. I showed up to the little ones watching, and to the little ones who will watch. I showed up to Washington, D.C. with a bright red mohawk and a bunch of stilettos. Here, 1 second.
Oh God, what is he doing?
These were the first heels I wore into Congress. There weren't people who look like me wearing heels in Congress. There were people in my movement
You're not in
who
Congress,
told me that
Sam.
I was being too much, that there wasn't a place for me in politics because politics was about professionalism. And that idea was that my trans identity and my ability to try to be myself had to come second to what the community or movement needed. And that was a lie.
Fuck. God damn it. Everyone drink.
As soon as this pandemic is over, we'll still be walking those marble halls in stilettos, knowing that I deserve to be there. And you do too. It's a very simple idea of worthiness. We talked about breaking the cycle.
Hang on.
And the greatest way that I broke a cycle.
Hang on. Sam, again, is actually making a very good point. And I want all of you to hear this. This guy, this they currently works for the President of the United States. And you can say that he got there because of Rachel Levine. Okay, fine. God fucking damn it. You can say that they got there because of who they know, fine, that could be the case. But that never would have happened if they didn't first believe that they were worthy of that position. They never would have made the connections that they made to get into that role, regardless of if it was about identity politics or not. It doesn't matter. They never would have made the connections to get into that role unless they felt worthy of it. And I really want you all to hear this, because you are worthy of whatever you want. Whatever you want to achieve in life, you are the one who holds yourself back or propels yourself forward. And guys, I hate to break it to you, but the vast majority of people who get jobs don't get them because they were the best person for that job. They get them because someone else liked them. That is the number one reason people get hired. They network, they interview well, they form relationships, someone else liked them, and someone else hired them. You are worthy of whatever you want. And if you don't believe that you are worthy of it, no one else is going to believe it. You have to believe in yourself first. And even if you dress crazy this way, even it's opposite for me, even if you dress crazy, even if you put your sexual fetishes on the internet, you are still worthy of what you want. This is serious. He works for the President of the United States. And we can say it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of the other thing. It doesn't matter. None of it would have happened if he did not first feel worthy. And if he can feel worthy, they fucking goddamn it. If they can feel worthy, I swear to God, I'm not actually trying to misgender anyone. It's just a mistake. If they can feel worthy, then you can too. Don't ever let anyone convince you that you are not worthy of everything that you want, because I promise you, the closer that you get to what you want, you will have more and more people around you trying to convince you that you are not worthy of it. It is a mind game. Do not listen to them. You can get whatever you want, but 90% of the battle is here. And if you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. And that's probably the most valuable thing that I have said on this entire stream. Let's finish up.
Of thinking that I was not worthy of a movement who was fighting for me was to recognize that the movement was fighting for all. We're all inclusive sex ed, all inclusive stopping Asian hate, all inclusive education. These are ideals, but they're also shared. And when I think about that inclusiveness, I have to remember that there is that place. I hope this isn't too much, Andrew. So if it's too much, in this case,
And read this book if you want more.
I sing a song that I sing with the Gay Men's Chorus. I get to sing in the Kennedy Center with the Washington National Opera. I love music. It's a really beautiful space, and a beautiful song that I cannot wait to sing to my child each morning, and which I think, each night, and I think resonates in this space is, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country that your heart leads.
This is perfect.
And know
This
that
is perfect. I want nothing else.
You can be by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. That is how I
Study and
perceive
brave,
what
Sam.
we need to be.
Study and
We
brave.
need to be
Study
so
and brave.
loving and so clear that it doesn't matter what shoes we wear, what words we say, what bills we pass. It is about the love that we get to keep sharing, and that is something I think that
That just
every
came out
single
of
one you
nowhere.
get to do. So to the little ones watching, go love some more. Go keep loving. And
No, he didn't say that. No.
Thank you. Thank
Go
you
love
to
some more.
each
Really.
of you for bringing your authentic selves to this conversation today, both personally and professionally. This was a beautiful conversation, and I actually can't wait to watch it back and just sit in it. Thank you to everybody that joined us
He's
today.
gonna watch it back and do
We've
something.
had
I'm
a
not sure it's
large number
sitting
of
in it.
people in here all day, all night. So thankful and appreciative of that. All the Sika staff. Thank you. Thank the panelists. And also thank you to Gabby, who has kept us on track and just made sure that we were organized and tech stuff was working out. So thank you very much. We plan to continue holding conversations with leading experts, thought leaders, and movement innovators to truly explore what sex ed for social change can mean on core issues and conversations like this one. And we hope that you will come back for the next one as we explore LGBT and trans inclusivity in sex education even more in June. And thank you very much.
Yeah, what could
We hope
possibly go
everybody has
wrong?
a lovely, wonderful evening. And we did it. We're done. Only 2 minutes over. We done good and answered all the questions. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And that's a wrap.
All right. We made it. We made it through. I don't know how I should feel right now. I feel a little bit gross. I feel like I possibly need a shower, even though I took a shower, but 8 hours ago. God. Well, that was something. That was something. The singing at the end came out of nowhere. I feel like I need to go back and watch that and fully process everything that I saw and possibly clip some things. Yeah. I feel like we might need to watch more videos from this organization because it's a little skeezy, if I'm being honest about it. And I'm hiccuping, which is great. It's the 10% beer that got me hiccuping at the end. All right, guys. Well, that is all the stream that we have for today. Now, as a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I hope you do. We do these every Friday at 5 p.m. And I do Actively Unwoke I can't even speak. Oh my God. I do the Actively Unwoke podcast on this channel. I just posted a new episode today. This is an audio only podcast in which I talked about the difference between true believers and the useful idiots or the useful innocents, as it were. The podcast is also available on all podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, all the rest. So if you want to subscribe to that, that'd be pretty great. They're 20-minute episodes. They're designed to be consumed rather quickly. But guys, I do just want to remind everyone who is signed up for it that the Actively Unwoke book club does start tomorrow. If you are not signed up for it, you still can, and I will send you out the invite in the morning. You can head over to activelyunwoke.com/book club to sign up. It is free to sign up as long as you have purchased the book. You can purchase the book in hardcover, Kindle, or audio version. We are only going to be discussing, we're going to be focused on part 1 tomorrow. So part 1 of the book is going to be about kind of like the lay of the land, decoding the woke, that sort of thing. Even if you haven't read up through that, you can still come hang out. But head over to activelyunwoke.com/book club to sign up for that. It is under the events section. And if you are not signed up yet, I will send you out the invite in the morning, and that'll be whatever is clever. And if you did sign up for it, you should have gotten an email from me earlier today with the Zoom meeting info. We are meeting at 3:00 tomorrow, right before we go into Socialism Saturday. So we will be doing Socialism Saturday on my channel tomorrow, on my main channel, not this one, the main one. probably around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that. I'll announce it in the day tomorrow so you guys can check back with that. And yeah, it's all I got, guys. I'm going to the fair this weekend. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to the fair on Sunday. If you're going to the Big E in Western Mass, hit me up. Let me know. Victor and I will be making an appearance unless the weather shits the bed. And I got to tell you, after that stream that we just watched, I'm kind of looking forward to going to the fair. Just having some fair time. Might eat some deep fried Oreos or something. Might go on a few rides. Might see some livestock or like a circus or something like that. I think I need to exit the internet entirely. And I'm sure after Socialism Saturday tomorrow, it's going to be even worse. I'm definitely going to need some like non-internet time at that point. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. Have a good rest of your night, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.